Hello, welcome back once again to the Pale Wizard YouTube channel. We're continuing our video series of ranking the discographies today, and today we're going to be doing Sparks. So just run through the rules quickly for the rankings. There's 26 albums for Sparks, although that's a point we're probably going to discuss as well, isn't it? We have individually listened to them all, ranked them from 1 to 26. Our scores have been compiled and put into envelopes and then ranked in order, so we don't know what order these are going to come out in. So the scoring works as the album that we like the least would get 1 point, and the album that we like the most would get 26 points. So we're going to go through them one by one, open them up and find out which one we think, between the two of us, is the best album by Sparks. So Dan, tell me your experience with Sparks. This is a recent thing for you, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I've remember them as a child because my dad played a little bit of them. I do remember when the Exotic Creatures of the Deep album came out.
Okay.
Early noughties?
2008.
2008, okay. Because I remember that there was a bit of a buzz about that Sparks got a new album.
Well, that was around the time they did the 21 Nights in London, the Sparks Spectacular shows.
Yeah, that's probably why.
There was a bit of buzz about that. Yeah.
And I was just surprised they were still going. And I heard it and I thought, oh, they still sound really good. You know, his voice hadn't aged and it was just a bit of a shock, really.
Yeah,
But aside from that, not much until the last year or two. I've not been a big kind of... I like their music. Just not massively aware of them, that's all. And I didn't know they had this many albums.
No, well, they have been going since like 1971. So yeah, it is quite a lot. We've included the FFS album in the ranking, which is the Franz Ferdinand Sparks sort of collaboration. And we're not including the Annette album, which is up there behind us, as it's a soundtrack. Also, we're not including the live album, Two Hands, One Mouth, or any of the compilations, like the Sparks Brothers and the Past Tense compilation. So it's just the 26 studio albums which include FFS. So, shall we get started?
Yeah, well, Tim, tell us about your
thank you.
history of Sparks.
So again, yeah, Sparks is it's quite a recent discovery for me. Obviously, I'm aware of Sparks. I knew This Town and I knew Number One Song in Heaven because they were hits in this country. In the 70s, so I knew of those songs growing up, but I never really investigated much of their music until more recently when I saw the film Annette, and really loved the film. I bought the film on Blu-ray, watched it, really loved the music, and I saw they were in it. They were in the first scene, and I sort of recognised them. When I was younger, I always used to get Sparks confused with Kraftwerk for some reason, maybe because of the amount of electronica I suppose they've done. But
right.
Yeah, so I listened to the album that was new at the time, which was A Steady Drip Drip Drip, and fell in love with that. And yeah, ever since then, which has been a couple of years now, I've listened to not much else other than Sparks. So
was that around the time the Edgar Wright documentary came out?
It was around that time as well, yeah. So Annette and the Edgar Wright Sparks Brothers documentary came out the same year.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So,
and I imagine a lot of people have got into them because of that documentary.
Yeah, a huge amount, yeah. I've been speaking to some of the sort of older fans online, and a lot of them have said that they've noticed the uptick in the amount of fans over the last couple of years has been huge.
Well, it's a very entertaining film, wasn't it? It's done really well.
Yeah, they couldn't have had a better person to make the Sparks Brothers film, could they, really, than Edgar Wright?
Well, no, I mean, and even if you're not a Sparks fan, you're going to enjoy the film.
Exactly, yeah. And it flies by. It's 2.5 hours long. Goes through every single album.
Yeah, I've watched it twice, and their music fits very well into a narrative.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I think that's a kind of purposeful thing, because I think they have quite an obsession with film. But actually, the way Edgar Wright's kind of slotted their music into the different time periods, it makes for a very entertaining watch, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Considering there's no big... Usually with like films, biography films about musicians, there's the whole sort of they lost their way and then they turned to drugs. and all that. And there isn't that with the Sparks Brothers.
Yeah, there's not.
It's
Yeah,
just the whole
that whole redemption thing's not
there's
really
no
there.
redemption arc really, is there? I suppose there is with the subplot with the film, because they never got a film made up until Annette. They had a couple of
Yes.
projects.
And the kind of them going out of fashion a little bit in the
Yeah,
70s and then in
yeah.
the late 80s.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
there was obviously a big period when they weren't really doing anything because they were working on a film which never happened, sort of around 1990, that period.
Right.
And they had an aborted film project in the 70s, so with Jacques Tati. So they eventually got the film made quite recently, and of course they're working on another one now. That apparently will be the next project.
Oh right. Okay.
The next thing will be another film musical. So.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yes.
Busy guys.
They are, but I mean, I don't know. They're 77 and 74. I think, or 78. Ron was 78 the other day. I think they're I've seen them live a few times this year, and you just can't believe the energy and the touring schedule that they do, and they work on nothing but music.
I mean, there aren't many people, aren't many bands you can compare them to. I mean, most people when they get into their 60s and 70s, they become those heritage acts, don't they?
Yeah.
They're not that at all.
No.
They're still trying to push the envelope, aren't they?
They're still a current band, aren't they? Their music is. I mean, this tour could have been, with a whole new fan base they were playing, the biggest venues they've ever played. They could have easily just played the hits, but they played 7 songs off their new album on this tour.
Yeah, I like that.
So,
I really like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's crack on.
Let's crack on. We've got a lot to get through. Who wants to go
take a while.
first? 26, and the worst one, in our opinion. Not that I would say any of these albums are particularly bad either. You can open the first one.
Obviously,
There you
Tim's
go.
very well versed in all these albums. I had to listen to all these in 3 weeks. And I'm at the point now where I'm a bit... I can't sleep really at the moment.
I had that with Bowie, I think, and
Yeah.
Iron Maiden. Even though I knew a lot of it,
Yeah.
I had exhaustion from listening to it when we did the
I
videos.
needed a break
Yeah.
from Maiden.
Yeah.
But Bowie,
I'm still on my Maiden break. Actually, I've not listened to a note
yeah, no,
since we did that video.
that was a difficult one.
Yeah.
Okay, so in last place, number 26th,
Yep.
is their 17th album from '97, Plagiarism.
Plagiarism.
So,
What points did this one get?
1 from you, 1 from me.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that might be the case.
Now, I'm of the opinion that this album should not have been included.
What, Plagiarism?
It's not an album.
It is an album.
It isn't an album.
Of course, it's an album.
It's not. It's
What is it then?
it's remixes,
I think it's a
reinterpretations.
compilation. It's their own kind of it's their tribute album to themselves.
It reminds me of when we did the Kate Bush, and she did the director's cut.
Yeah. I mean, that's
It's
classed
just-
as one of her albums. So.
Well, it shouldn't be.
I think we did this then, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, it's not in it, but it.
Well, it's
but
not.
it
It's
is,
not.
yeah.
It's not an original studio
Yeah.
album. However, whatever.
It's in it. So, but it is.
It came last, so
I just find it pointless, really.
look, it's not pointless. If you're a fan, if you're a big fan of bands like Sparks or anyone, it's always interesting to have extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
To release it as an album, I'd feel cheated. I'd feel better if it kind of came as like an extra disc with a new album.
Yeah, the thing with Plagiarism is it was, I think, pretty much something that the record label asked of them, because after they were quite successful in Germany with the previous album, and the record label kind of said, why don't you just go back and redo some of your old songs just so your new fan base in Germany in the 90s can get a taste for your old catalogue. But then those old songs are still there anyway, so it seemed a strange thing to do, but they got a whole host of people on board. Erasure, Faith No More on 2 tracks, those are one of the highlights of it for me. And Tony Visconti came back and did a load of orchestral versions, and most of those are great.
Yeah,
they're really good interpretations.
There's some really nice moments on it.
There's some right rubbish on it as well. There's a lot of like sort of banging techno versions of songs.
I love the version
like.
of Pulling Rabbits Out of a Hat.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
I think that's the best thing on it.
Yeah.
The version of This Town with Faith No More is alright.
The other one's better with Faith No More. Something for the Girl with Everything.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Patton really goes to town on that, doesn't he?
That and it sounds like Faith No More, and there's a Faith No More connection going on, obviously, with Sparks.
Yeah.
Do you know how Faith No More became involved in this release?
I don't know. No. But they did take Dean Menter off of
yes.
Faith No More after this, didn't they? Because he pretty much worked with them for the next.
And you can hear it.
Yeah. Next few years after this.
Now, so in the film, it's got Roddy Bottum talking about how he bumps into them at a cafe or a coffee shop or something.
Yeah.
Do you think that's how it came about? Do you think
Very
Roddy
possibly.
Bottum just got talking to Ron and
Yeah,
Russell?
he may have, because they go to the same coffee shop all the time. They posted a picture of themselves sat in it the other day on Facebook. So it may well be that he'd gone to this farmers marketplace in LA for coffee and saw them there, and sort of, you know, obviously they're quite distinctive guys, aren't they? So
The version of Number One Song in Heaven is awful because it's got that horrible 90s dance.
Yeah, I hate it. But there is a good version of it. Jimmy Somerville does at the end of the album.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. See, that's what makes, because the album's 19 songs and it's 74 minutes long, and I could just do without, like, there's 2 versions of certain songs on there.
Amateur Hour with Erasure is quite good.
I didn't like it.
I quite liked it.
And I like Erasure.
I don't like the version of When I'm With You.
No, I don't like that.
The version of When Do I Get to Sing My Way is nice.
Mhm.
Funny Face is okay. And Never Turn Your Back on a Friend is alright.
Yeah.
Some good ideas, you know, and as a fan I'd appreciate stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an original album, is it? It's
No, it was, you know, it's almost like a stopgap thing, isn't it?
yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, funnily enough, it's on Roadrunner Records in Australia. You can get versions of it. It's the only album that's not available on vinyl, so I don't have it. But
That
it's,
did come out as a single, didn't it? The Faith No More collaboration.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I'm sure I
yeah.
had that as a CD single.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
With
Obviously
some
knew that
sort
song
of
anyway.
remixes as well.
It was wasn't there a version of it that was on a Kerrang thing
Yes.
or something?
Yeah.
It's very possible because they kind of pushed the whole rock aspect of
Yeah.
it. a bit.
Faith No More singles were always really good because they put on loads of B-sides,
Yeah,
live stuff, remixes.
Mhm. Very true. But we've done Faith No More. We're doing Sparks now. So, number 25.
Right, this is where you're going to start to get triggered, I think.
You reckon?
Yeah, you're one of those really anal Sparks fans who's, you know, what is it?
So it's Balls,
Yeah,
which is the album after.
This album's Balls.
From 2000.
Or Balls.
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 Balls, yeah. 4 points from me, 2 points from you,
Okay, so
6 points.
so you're not a great lover of it.
I like this album. I mean, I like pretty much all the albums to be fair. So you put that over there. This album is one that took me a while to get into because it is. I mean, some of it sounds like The Prodigy, doesn't it?
Yes.
So there's a lot of kind of, you know, harder edged dance music on here. And what do you think of the cover?
Crap.
Ron designed that apparently. There's like 4 or 5 different coloured versions
Yeah,
of it on CD,
yeah.
but yeah, it's
It's crap.
it's not very interesting, is it? Really?
I guess it probably looked effective when it came out.
Yeah.
Had that kind of 90s.
So it kind of, I mean, this they did the Plagiarism before this, but this is more like a continuation of the Gratuitous Sax album from the sort of '94 period, but with an even more sort of harder edged sort of dance sound to it. And it didn't do. It was a bit of a flop.
I'm not
All
surprised.
basically.
The title track is awful.
What, Balls?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that song. We
Uh,
played that on the tour
just
this
like
year. It's had a great-
Europop. It reminds me of
Yeah.
watching Eurotrash on Channel 4, the kind of music they'd have on in the background.
Yeah. Is there any songs you like on here?
Yeah,
Scheherazade.
Scheherazade.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mhm.
And I like the production on
That's a
that.
quieter one, though, isn't it? That's not such a.
Calm Before the Storm.
Yeah, that's a great list.
It's quite annoying.
You think?
I liked How to Get Your Ass Kicked.
Yeah, that's a quieter one again.
It's a Knockoff was good.
Yeah, that was
I li-
from a film. You know, they did that. They did a film a couple of years before, film soundtrack for Sue Hark's knockoff film, which stars Jean-Claude Van Damme. So it's a Jean-Claude Van Damme action film scored by Sparks.
No way.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. But that's the original song they came up with.
What's
Plays,
the film
plays
like?
over the end credits. It's actually not bad.
Oh, right.
Because it's Sue Hark's obviously one of those like Hong Kong action film directors,
Right.
sort of like John Woo. So it's very, you know, it's not your usual Jean-Claude Van Damme film, but yeah.
I'll have to watch
So that song's a bit older. That song's from a couple of years prior.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it isn't a bad album, you know,
Mhm.
because to be fair, they don't really have any bad albums. Just this one's not really my taste. However, it's educational. It's hinting at a more kind of industrial sound, I found. And The Angels is nice.
The Angels has got swearing in it, which is a bit weird as well.
I just thought it was
One of the
a
songs that,
Aeroflot's a bit dull.
Aeroflot's one of the fan favourites I think on here. I like Aeroflot. And I like
It's
Bullet Train as well, which is a good fun one. They did record an album in this style to be released after this, and because of the reception this one got, they just junked the whole thing, deleted it.
A lost album.
Mm-hmm.
Those
So I
that-
presume it doesn't exist anymore.
You
I
presume it doesn't exist. What
I presume. Well, from what they said, they deleted it.
Deleted it?
Yeah.
That's brave.
Yeah. Well, they don't mess around with stuff like that. I think they kind of, they're always looking forward, aren't they? So they don't.
Do you think they're
It's
the
not
kind?
like they're going to leave it on a hard drive and then release it again.
Do you think they're the kind of band that that a box set will come out with tons and tons of unreleased stuff, or do you think they're the kind of band who go, no, if it's not good enough for the album, get rid of it?
Yeah, I think the latter. Yeah, I don't think there would be. I don't think
Alice
they're like
Cooper's
Prince,
like
where
that.
there's
Alice
a vault.
Cooper doesn't have a vault of stuff. I think everything he records, he puts out,
Yeah,
and that's it. That's the album.
yeah. I think they're more like that. I mean, there may be things here and there, but it's not going to be. With Prince, there's just albums and albums and albums worth
Yeah.
of stuff, isn't there?
Yeah.
Most of which we're probably never going to get to hear because the estate are really slow at bringing stuff out. But I think with Sparks, we're just we get what we get. They like to have the finished product
Yeah.
being that thing.
Okay, so that was number 25.
Yeah, number 24.
Okay. So in at 24,
Yeah.
we have Pulling Rabbits Out of a Hat from 1984, their
Okay.
13th album, produced by Ian Little.
Ian Little. Yeah.
You gave this 7, I gave it 3.
Okay.
I guess you could say a lot of it's kind of sophisti-pop.
Yeah.
The title track I find is quite ominous, the title track. Then the song Love Scenes. I really love the song Pretending to be Drunk.
Yeah, it is fun.
I just think this album starts off really well and then really tails off.
I'm inclined to agree with that. Yeah, it is a bit front-loaded. Not that I particularly dislike many of the songs on it. The production is really good. Ian Little, I think he worked with Duran Duran as well, so you kind of, you get that kind of pedigree there. And the band are good. This is the Bates Motel band. Still on this one, they played with Sparks from the Whomp album onwards for like 4 albums, I think. So
Cool cover.
They were, yeah, it's a great album cover. That one's one of the best
But
ones.
obviously the whole glove puppet thing, isn't that taken off the When I'm With You video?
Yeah, they did a bit of that in When I'm With You, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah. Bit of a. So maybe it is an extension of that. There's the really nice single on here with All My Might, which is one of the loveliest Sparks love songs. But on the whole, the lyrics on this one are a bit kind of darker and they're not quite as humorous on the whole.
Yeah, it didn't really grab me that much, this album. It's an enjoyable listen.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, it's quite a lush production.
It is, yeah. Yeah, okay, let's move on then. I think the general consensus is this one's one of the lesser ones. We're not going wildly wrong so far.
1984, they would have
far.
been competing with a lot of very good pop music.
Yes, they would have been. Yeah, it would have been difficult. I mean, it did nothing like commercially in the States, or they were bigger in the States at this point, and it was the start of a downturn.
Yeah.
Sort of commercially for them in the States as well. So, yeah. Let's move on to number 23. I'm going to open one of these and just be annoyed in a minute. Aren't I?
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Okay. Okay. Interior Design from 1988. So you gave this one 4 points, and I gave this one 9 points.
You quite like this one then, did you?
I do, yeah. I've come to really like. This is obviously the one that most people think is the weakest album.
No, not for me.
Yeah. It may be the weakest album, Mark.
I actually quite like that.
It is quite
I like
cool,
that.
isn't it? So it's like a catalogue. It's like a pitch from a catalogue, isn't it? It's like a 70s
It's like the
catalogue, mail order catalogue.
yes,
Kind of thing.
Little Shop of Horrors. You know that scene where they're talking about their perfect life.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the back like? Okay. Yeah, I quite like that because it looks dated, and obviously,
Yeah.
what year was this? 88.
88. Yeah.
So yeah, in '88 this would have been dated already.
Yeah, this was a weird one because this is the first one they basically retreated back to Russell's house to start making music, and they've just been there ever since. So This is the first one they really went and did themselves.
Self-produced,
properly.
was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And the production on this isn't amazing, I don't think.
So yeah, it's got a very dated production. A lot of the sounds kind of feel like they were probably cutting edge in '86, but by the time '88 came along,
yeah, it moved quite quickly, didn't it? The '80s.
there's some quite rocking electric guitars in this one, isn't there? Who's playing the electric
There's
guitars?
a chap called Spencer Surcombe.
Okay.
So they were session musicians, everyone on here.
Right, it's pretty raucous, some of it.
Yeah.
Now the song "You Got a Hold of My Heart" sounds like a song that my nana would have played on her organ.
Right.
She used to sit there when we go round. She lives in she, bless her heart, she died a couple of years ago. She used to sit in her living room on her organ, and we'd go around there, and after we'd sipping our cup of tea, listening to my nana playing on this massive bloody thing. You know, like Wurlitz are kind of like seasidey.
I like that song.
Yeah, I quite. It's got
charming.
that. It's got that kind of Western Supermare vibe about it.
Yeah.
I've said here that there is shades of kind of 80s Roxy music in the sounds, but Roxy music we're doing it a couple of years before.
Yeah, and a lot smoother, isn't it? Roxy was. They were really. I mean, obviously their albums were costing a lot more.
Yes, they were the cutting edge of sophisti-pop, weren't they? And,
definitely. Yeah.
and this band. To me, this is one of the few times in their career where it sounds like they're trying to play catch up, and it also it is the end of an era for Sparks, isn't it?
It is, yeah, definitely. So after this one, there was a 6-year gap where they didn't bring out any music because they were working on a film project, which was My the Psychic Girl, which is like an anime. I don't know much about it. Some of the songs do exist; you can find them online.
Right.
But it was going to be directed by Tim Burton, and then of course it's all never happened. So they spent all these years working on this for it never to be released, which must have been very frustrating for them.
And there's a massive difference in sound between this album and the one that comes next, isn't there?
Oh yeah, huge. But it was 6 years later.
Yeah.
And I think there's a particular. They were going for a particular thing with that next one. This one, I mean, all of side A, I love. All the songs on there. Toughest Girl in Town's had a bit of a renaissance recently because they played it on the last tour.
Right.
And it sounded so good live that I've just fallen back in love with that song. And Madonna, which if you get the CD of this, there's like 3 or 4 different versions in different languages. But that Madonna song's really good anyway. So.
And Madonna is a song that kind of hints towards what's to come in terms of their sound.
Yeah, it's
I think
going into that kind of more electro.
Yeah, you can see they're experimenting a bit with that one.
Yeah. I wonder if that's a true story, that Madonna song. I wouldn't have thought so.
It's got to be said, their lyrics are just brilliant.
Yeah, of course.
Throughout their career.
Yeah.
And obviously, because I've had to listen to all the albums in 3 weeks, there's so much of it that's gone over my head. And I keep dipping in and out now. I'm like, that's what he's saying. When you really hone in on what he's saying.
That's why I told you, listen, if you can, sit there with the lyrics.
I should.
Because of the way he sings as well, especially on the earlier stuff, you can't really decipher some of the lyrics at first. So,
does Ron, does he write everything?
Well, as of now, they write it together.
Do they?
So everything is credited to the both of them. But I mean,
as of when?
As of it's definitely for all the albums this millennia. So.
Okay, so since Balls?
So it's all created. Yeah, it all say credited written by Ron and Russell Mael.
Oh.
Back in the day, it used to be Ron on everything, and then Russell would have a few songwriting credits here and there.
Right.
But you get the impression that it's probably pretty much still the same thing. I'd imagine that the majority of it is Ron, and Russell's chipping in stuff here and there. But Russell does all the engineering and the producing side of it.
Yes.
So he's kind of taught himself to do that.
Oh, okay.
So he deals with that, and I think Ron deals with the.
So it's probably fairer just to split it down the middle.
Yeah, I think that's how to do it. Yeah, which is fair enough.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. That.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so interior design. Is it my go?
Your go. Yeah, number 22. We're rattling through these, aren't we?
Well, not really.
No. There's only 22 to go.
Okay, so number 22. The Seduction of Ingmar Bergman. The 22nd album from 2009, produced by Ron and Russell. You gave this 6.
Yep.
I gave it 9.
this is hard to rank. Would you say?
Yeah, so I gave this quite a good score. However,
Yeah.
it's very, very hard to kind of, for me, to picture where this should go in the ranking, because it's not like anything else.
It's not a rock or pop album, is it?
No,
it's a radio play.
It's a radio play / score.
Mm-hmm.
And it works.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of thing I can dip in and out of. You have to kind of...
No, I mean, it is broken down. If you look at the back, it's broken down into, like, I think it's 24 different parts, but it's one. It's like a film, so it's like a play. So you have to listen to the whole thing. I've only ever listened to the whole thing. There are tracks which I really like certain tracks a lot.
I couldn't name you a track. I couldn't.
Well,
name
no,
you a track.
it's like anything. It's like when we were talking about Kate Bush, and trying to pick out tracks on side B of House of Love or of the other bit of Aerial. It's like you can't pick them out, can you? It's all just one long movement, and this is really, to me, it's got Ron singing on it.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds a bit like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting.
Who's doing a lot of the spoken word on there?
So there's a whole cast of actors on here. So it was commissioned by a Swedish radio station, the Swedish national radio station. I think one of the people that worked there went to a Sparks gig in Stockholm and saw them and thought they were great, and then thought, how can I work with them, and approached them with an idea for doing a radio play. Now obviously Sparks, being the cinephiles that they are, thought Sweden, Bergman, obviously the most famous film director from Sweden. So did Sparks come
up with the whole idea?
So they came up with the whole idea for this, between the two of them.
Just break it down, what in its simplest form, what is the plot?
So the plot, so Bergman, who, it starts off with him at Cannes Film Festival when he's just won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, I think so. Mm-hmm. For his film Smiles of a Summer Night, which was in the mid-50s. And he goes to a cinema to watch an American Hollywood blockbuster film, which is the kind of thing he doesn't like, because he's Ingmar Bergman, art house filmmaker. And when he leaves the cinema, he suddenly ends up transported to Hollywood, where all these big shot Hollywood film guys are trying to get him to make a film, which he's obviously dead set against, because he's Ingmar Bergman. And it's got this crazy kind of chase to it in it, and I think in the end he gets, Greta Garbo ends up helping him escape back to Sweden. It's
like The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. Seduction.
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
You
don't have to know much about Bergman. I'm guessing you haven't seen any of Bergman's films.
I haven't.
Yeah, you don't really have to know anything about his films.
I wouldn't recommend anybody listen to this if they want to get into Sparks.
No, absolutely not. No.
It isn't that type of album, but it's got some worthwhile stuff on there.
There's talk of making this into a film.
I'd watch that.
Like an animated film, because Joseph Wallace, who made the video for Edith Piaf, Said It Better Than Me, which is on Hippopotamus, he was interested in adapting this as an animation. They have done this on stage with a cast of actors once in the States, I think, which would have been great to see.
Yeah, the reviews are really good, weren't they?
Yeah, the reviews were great. Yeah, and it's
crazy doing that. One off. That's it.
Yeah, one and done kind of.
All that work.
Getting that radio play thing out of your system. But yeah, hard to rank. So I think, a lot of people, when they do rank this, including in with the rest of the Sparks albums, will just stick it at the bottom because they don't know what to make of it. But I don't think it deserves that. I think it's a lot more worthwhile than some people make it out to be. So yeah, that's
excellent.
That's the Seduction of Ingmar Bergman. Okay, my turn.
Yep.
No ties yet, which is good.
Okay, that's good.
So no big arguments to be had.
You're not massively triggered by anything so far?
Nothing, yeah. I think we're kind of towing the line so far. Yeah, we're still doing that. I mean, we've given this one the same. So music that you can dance to, which is their 86. Is it 86? Yeah. So this album, you gave 8 points. I gave 8 points. What do you think of that album cover there?
Yeah, very 80s.
Yep.
Reminds me of Tears for Fears. Gary Newman. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Quite a Hall & Oates.
Yeah, that's like Hall & Oates, isn't it? Yeah. If you squint.
that haircut looks like Dowell Hall, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
So this guy, Greg Penny, who helped them out on this, he worked with Elton John on his album Made in England, and he produced that K.D. Lang album, which was big. That won all the what's that called? That first K.D. Lang album
with the big hit on it.
Yeah, Constant Craving. Is it Constant Craving?
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to love that song.
Yeah.
Right.
There's two different versions of this, so I don't know which one you've heard. This is the American version, which has got the song Change on it.
Right.
Now you may have heard the British version, which has got Armies of the Night.
Armies of the Night.
Yeah.
That's the one I listened to.
So they're both great songs. I don't know why one has to replace the other one. Change was a song that came out the year before. It was like a single that ended up being on the album in the States. I don't know if you've heard it.
That's in the film, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. Really good sort of spoken word bit.
Footage of them doing that on a TV show, isn't there?
Yeah. They go on TVAM. That's the one we're in on TVAM, and there's no video,
right.
so
London Records
wouldn't stump up for a video, so they cut out a little TV, don't they? That cardboard,
That's right.
and Ron's holding it over Russell's face, and he's singing the song.
Yeah.
When he tips over the sofa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got memories of that as a kid as well, watching that.
Yeah.
So is this on London Records?
This is on MCA in the US.
Right. So the UK version was probably London.
Yeah,
Records.
it was London Records or Consolidated Alloyed Records. But they've been on so many record labels over the years.
Faith No More on London Records, weren't they?
They were, the first ones on London Records, isn't it?
Interesting.
So, maybe there's another crossover there. So with this album, the title track is brilliant.
Yeah.
And they still play that now. That's the song this year. The set was done so perfectly that as soon as, because all the venues were seated, as soon as Music That You Can Dance To played, every I went to 4 shows. Every show, that would be the point. Everyone would get up and start dancing, and then that would be it. Everyone would be up and dancing for the rest of the show.
I mean, it is what it says on the tin, that song, and also it is the perfect beat to dance to, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, really, and it was a kind of a have a go at the record label kind of thing, wasn't it? Because the record label said, write some music that
it's
you
quite
can
meta
dance
though,
to.
isn't it? Because it's still a good song.
Yeah, so they wrote a song called Music That You Can Dance To.
Yeah, there's slightly more. There's more dance influences coming through in the sounds, isn't there?
There's some weird stuff on here though. There's some really sort of dissonant and quite aggressive sounding electro.
It's a bit serious in places, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's also got some very darkly funny stuff. Shopping Mall of Love, which has got Ron doing his which they have been doing live for the last few years now, which is really good. And I love the song Rosebud, which is Citizen Kane.
So Armies of the Night isn't on this one then?
So it's not on this vinyl.
That's a good song.
If I wanted that, I'd have to buy the Fright Night soundtrack.
Right.
Or I could buy another version of this.
That's where I've heard it.
It's on Fright Night, yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's written for Fright Night.
I knew I'd heard it somewhere.
Yeah, it's a great tune.
It's a crap film.
What, Fright Night?
Yeah. It's pretty. It's
brilliant.
Really,
it's one of the,
really
one
dated.
of the great 80s horror films.
Yeah, you're right. I remember seeing. Oh, Sparks were on the on the credits.
Which is a strange choice of bands I have. They did a few film credits, film soundtracks over the years, but mostly in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's got a song I don't like on here so much, which is the Stevie Wonder cover, Fingertips, which is just doesn't work for me at all.
Dare I say it? Some of this album's a bit boring.
You think?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Seems to have lost a little bit of the spark, if you don't mind me saying. But that it's lost a little bit of the humour.
Yeah, it kind of has. Yeah, it's drier. This and the one before as well. There's the humour wasn't so much there. But they have had that before. Those periods where it does look like they get a bit serious for a bit, because there is so much humour in so much of their music. So when it isn't there, you're looking for it, aren't you? If this was just a normal album by a normal band that weren't injecting humour into most of their music, it wouldn't be an issue. But because it's not there, it is noticeable, I think.
With Sparks, I was just thinking to myself, they're almost like that. You can imagine when they came out and everyone was like, "Oh, this is amazing! They're so funny," and then the next album is like, "Oh, it's not a joke." It's like
they're actually like that.
Oh, you actually like that?
Yeah.
Now it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always thought maybe that was the reception of some people.
Yeah.
They just thought they were so ironic when they first came out, but no, they've never changed.
No, they haven't. They have a very singular vision of what they are, haven't they? And
It's
they've
amazing,
never
that.
changed
Like
over 50 years. So
it's a real symbiotic relationship. I know they're brothers, obviously, but you know, even in terms of their kind of creative vision, isn't that bizarre? Isn't it bizarre that at no point has Ron gone, you know what, I'm going to go off and do this, and Russ, you know, because you think with that kind of creativity and genius, you think at some point one of them would have gone, oh, I think I could do something else.
Yeah, well, maybe they did, and then it never really happened for them, but we didn't hear about it.
Has any of them done any side projects? That's amazing, that. Yeah. 52
you know, I mean,
years.
Russell's featured on other songs here and there, you know, but he's not gone off and done his own like introspective country album.
I wonder how close they got at some points to.
There's got to be. I mean, they just don't. They're not. You know, they don't talk about their private life, do they? So if there was ever a split, they would never have said about it.
Good. And again, I like the mystery.
Most bands with brothers in, you know, that doesn't happen, does it? They don't get on after a while. So yeah. What's next?
Okay,
what number
so
are we at
in at
here?
number 20, yeah?
Yeah.
FFS.
FFS.
Their 23rd album, produced by John Congleton.
John Congleton.
2015.
What do you know? I keep dropping this. What do you know about John Congleton?
Not a lot. Rings a bell.
He's quite a big name producer. I looked him up when I was doing my notes, and
What's he done?
he's won a Grammy for what's the band called? St. Vincent. Have you heard of them?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what he's.
Very hip.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
very
he's
hip.
kind of, but then he's working with Franz Ferdinand, which is why I'm guessing they've used a big name producer for it.
Were Franz Ferdinand big in 2015?
Well, yeah, that was after their hugely annoying hit.
That was years ago.
Take Me Out, wasn't it?
Take Me Out was
I
years ago.
don't know anything about Franz. This
That's
is the only song I know.
That's
of
got
Franz
to be
Ferdinand.
20 years ago.
Has it now?
Do
you like Franz Ferdinand? What do you think?
Particularly,
No.
not particularly. I don't dislike them.
No.
Don't dislike them.
No.
They got a couple of decent tunes. They always seem like a tight band. Whenever I saw live footage, they always had a kind of tight dynamic.
Yeah.
It's not my type of music,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of apathetic.
It's
towards
kind of it's kind of a bit sort of twee, isn't it? A lot of Franz
them.
Ferdinand.
Well, very influenced by Sparks. You
Yeah,
can tell.
well, you can tell.
Talking
yeah.
Heads.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely Talking Heads. Yeah.
And Talking Heads are obviously very influenced by Sparks, and probably vice versa as the years went on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What did you like on here? What do I give it? I gave it 2.
you gave it 2.
Yeah.
I gave it 14.
You gave it 14. Oh.
It's a good album. It's got loads and loads of really strong songs, actually.
All the strongest songs, interestingly, in my opinion, were released as singles. They got it right. So the singles were Piss Off, Johnny Delusional, Collaborations Don't Work, Call Girl, and Police Encounters. Those are all the best songs.
Yeah,
on here.
okay, funny enough. So I've said Johnny Delusional is one of the best things they've done.
What, Sparks or
Yeah.
FFS? Sparks. Yeah. Yeah.
I think Johnny Delusional
brilliant
is
song.
brilliant.
Yeah,
I think
brilliant song. That's a Ron and Russell song.
I mean, that's gone into my... I've set like a little playlist up on iTunes. It's about 40 songs strong.
Yeah.
I'm just picking
What,
the
you've
very...
picked all the best ones you like?
As I'm going, I'm going, I really like that.
Yeah.
That's gone into my Johnny's Jukebox kind of thing. That's brilliant, that song.
Yeah.
And the combination between them and Franz Ferdinand is great on that one. And you can hear Franz Ferdinand on that.
Do you know, it works so much better without them? Like when they played it on the tour
Right.
last year, Johnny Delusional,
Right,
with
okay.
Just Russell singing it sounds so much better.
Yeah, but-
That's what I
but-
thought about this album. Listening to it again, because I don't listen to it that much.
But without them, it wouldn't have happened.
I know. I was just thinking to myself how much better it would have been if they did this album using their current band.
I actually think...
maybe because there's a guy, Eli Pearl, in their current live band who's got a really good singing voice.
They're a great band.
And they would have.
Very tight band.
That would have been really cool to hear him doing
However, I think his voice works really well with it.
Alex, what's his name? Alex Capri-Son.
Yeah, Alex Khrushchev. Alex Gorbachev.
Alex Kapranos?
Yeah.
He wrote one song on here which was rubbish. Little Guy from the Suburbs. That's a Franz Ferdinand song, I presume.
Yeah, Cool. So I've said Cool Girl is great.
Yeah.
The Man Without a Tan was clearly written about me.
Yeah.
So Many Bridges. That sounds like Franz Ferdinand to me.
Yeah.
Is that one of their writing credits?
I think it is. Yeah.
It's
I
not
think they're on
bad.
it,
It just sounds too much like them. So I think this is a really strong album. It's about 2 or 3 songs too long.
It is even longer on vinyl, this vinyl, because it's got 4 more songs.
Gee, really?
Yeah, I've always struggled with it because it's over an hour long. Which I don't class them as part. Those are like the deluxe versions. So I wouldn't class those as part of it. To me, the album ends would piss off, because that's a great way to finish an album.
So those are bonus tracks.
Those are the bonus tracks.
Doesn't say it.
Yeah. The
deluxe
version.
The version I listened to had those on.
So you've heard those? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so many bridges.
So many bridges. Yeah.
I think the piss off is the good. I mean, that would have been, maybe Collaborations Don't Work should have been at the beginning.
Yeah, that's good. That would have been a great intro.
I think Collaborations Don't Work when they're talking about it in the film, when they're sending lyrics backwards and forwards.
Perfect.
I think that's the kind of
really funny.
Yeah,
really
funny.
Very,
very Ron Mail.
Yeah, that made me properly laugh. That.
Yeah.
However, it's not a Sparks album, so this should not be in this list. It's a good album. I really like it. It shouldn't be in this list. And I know Tim tells me, because he's in the know about these things, that the Sparks community...
yeah, we always consider it to be a Sparks album.
I love that. We. So Tim's part of this community now.
Well, you're a part of a community if you like anything these days, aren't you? So if you're like, I'm into horror films, so I'm part of the horror film community.
Generally, we count this one.
Generally, if you watch any other ranking videos for...
why are you watching other ranking videos?
Well, because I like the band.
It's tainting your opinion.
I've seen them all long time before we were doing this. They all include it, so we've included it.
Well, you're wrong. You're wrong. And all of you other YouTubers... Love you all, but you're all wrong. That should not be in the Sparks catalogue.
If we ranked the FFS albums, where would you put that one?
Top.
Yeah.
And bottom.
And bottom, yeah. Right, let's crack on.
Yeah.
19. Paul Hardcastle.
I'm going to crack open a beer, Timothy.
Okay.
Would you like one?
I would, actually, yeah.
Do you want a real one or a non-alcoholic?
I'd have a non-alcoholic one, please.
No problem.
Okay.
Is this where you're going to start?
No, I'm still okay. So yeah, this is in Outer Space then.
There you go. Okay.
The 12th album from 1983. This is the first one they actually ever produced by themselves.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of hear that.
But it does sound... I think it sounds really, really good. I think the production on this is 100 times better than it is on Interior Design, which was the next one they did solo, effectively.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think it sounds really strong. The band are great. The Bates Motel band on this.
Yes.
And this is a genre of music. This is a full-on kind of synth pop thing that I love. I love all that kind of music. That's some of my favourite music. But I do struggle with this one. I gave it 3, and you gave it 16.
You gave it 3.
Yeah.
I love Cool Places.
So yeah.
I love, and I never realised that Jane Weedlin
of the Go-Go's.
I didn't realise that was her in Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted.
She's the Joan of Arc.
Oh, of course she is. Yeah.
I never knew that.
Oh, and well, nor did I. Well, I knew it, but I didn't think
she is
ever thought it was relevant.
smoking hot.
Yeah. I mean, they had a bit of a fling, I think. But she was like the president of the Sparks fan club or something, or an official Sparks fan club or something like that.
Awesome.
And I think, and she was kind of badgering them into doing something with her.
So she does a song with him, gets to shag Russell.
Yeah.
And then
I think they had like a fling over the course of this album and the touring around it.
Brilliant.
And
Russell has a real smile on his. All the footage you see from this era,
he's got a big grin on his face.
He has a big glint in his eye.
And Ron's got an even more sort of.
Ron's got an even kind of funnier kind of like. Maybe he's just chuffed to see his brother getting laid. I don't know.
But this is one of the best album covers as well.
Yeah,
this is brilliant.
I remember seeing that one in the shops. That is very cool.
Yeah,
reminds me of The Damned.
They did a lot of takes to get that right.
Did they?
Yeah, there's footage of it.
Was it a hit?
A lot of pies. It was. This was their sort of hit album in the States. This is their. I think
because of Cool Places.
Because of Cool Places, yeah. So Cool Places reached number 49 in the US singles chart. Okay. So that's their highest sort of charting single
ever. Is it?
And it reached number 88 on the album chart.
Where did this town get to then?
Didn't get anywhere in the States. That was when they were here. So it's weird because they've had success in different places all throughout their career, in the UK and then in France and then in the States and then in Germany. But it never all happened worldwide for them until recently.
Yeah.
So it's always very localized, and because before the internet, you just wouldn't have been able to see where they were. Most people that in the UK thought that they pretty much split up because and gone after like number one in heaven, because you just didn't hear about them up until Gratuitous Sax came out.
Yeah, and you're reliant on the record companies having good PR in each country. And
I mean, they were trying to. I mean, they were on TV a bit, obviously, for music you can dance to in the UK. They were trying to get back over here, but they never did. They never toured over here in the 80s.
So
they were just touring in the States.
I love the song Popularity.
Yeah, that's my favourite one on here.
It's got that real kind of like cheap Casio sound.
Yeah.
And this has got such a super catchy vocal on it. I love the line. It's in a place that's called, I forget what it's called. That's just great.
And popularity, sort of, this is the point they became popular in their home country. My favourite track on here, other than that, is Dance, Goddammit.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
The bass line on that's brilliant.
Really kind of funky.
The song Lucky Me, Lucky You.
Yeah.
Who's the female voice on that?
That's Jane Whelan as well.
Again?
Yeah, she's on 2
right.
songs on this album.
Because I said whoever that is smoking hot as well. So the voice is smoking hot. Yeah, Jane Whelan. Oh, she still looks great as well, doesn't she?
She does. Yeah, she certainly does.
Fair play, Russell.
Yeah. I think of this one. I think it's probably the one that's dated the most out of a lot of stuff they've done.
It's definitely 83.
You can tell this is 83.
Yes.
But again,
no earlier, no later.
Yeah, exactly 83. This band, this Bates Motel band, they're great. They're really good. All the live footage of them from around this era.
So
TV
Bates
stuff.
Motel were a band.
They were a band they basically recruited.
Right, that's cool.
Around the time of Whomp That Sucker.
Yeah.
When they went to go back into being a band after doing the 2
Must have been a fun side, that.
And and they were all over the American radio, college radio, and the TV here and there. It's one of my lesser up. I still like it.
I think that's going to be one that I come back to.
Yeah, I think with American fans, I think they'll probably have this one a lot higher because of its impact in America, and for a lot of people, Sparks are the cool places band.
Good song. I like that song.
Yeah, I'm neither here nor there with it.
Kind of sums up the 80s.
Sometimes I like
for me,
it,
that.
sometimes I don't. It's a bit weird for me.
When I think
Cool
of the
Places.
80s, it's Cool Places, Mannequin,
yeah,
Weird Science.
Yeah, it is that kind of sound, isn't it? It wouldn't be out of place on one of those teen movies from the 80s. John Hughes. Do you want to grab number 18?
Absolutely. Thank you to Tim's wife for doing this.
Yes, hard work.
So number 18. Okay, so Gratuitous Sax and Senseless Violins.
Which is a great album title.
Their 16th album.
Great album title.
1994, so this was the one that they came back after their 6-year hiatus, produced by Ron and Russell.
Yeah.
Tim gave this 13, I gave this 7.
Okay, so you don't like this one as much?
As much.
What's your problem with Gratuitous Sax, Senseless Violins?
Okay. Shit name. For a start.
It's a brilliant name. 2 puns in one title.
Don't like the artwork. That looks
that's brilliant.
That could be Carter
That's
Unstoppable
so
Sex
good.
Machine.
Yeah,
you know what I
good,
mean?
isn't it?
One of those albums.
This is the most 90s looking album cover you could possibly come up with, isn't it?
It is.
It's amazing.
Used to get magazines looking like that, didn't we?
Yeah, I like all these like tabloidy headlines that they've
What's
there.
the music magazine that looked like that?
Is it,
I just get my lyrics out of it.
Oh yeah, what's that called?
It's like not Smash Hits, but another one. But it looked just like that.
Yeah, I know which one you mean. Cause
I haven't seen this up close, so I haven't seen. It's better in my hands.
Yeah.
The smear campaign that ran afoul.
So this is like a deluxe version with like an extra.
Even his haircut.
CD of
That's definitely of the time, isn't it? I remember a lot of my dad's mates who used to go to raves looking like that.
Yeah.
That kind of haircut.
Yeah.
Kind of like greasy, kind of jelly curtains.
Yeah, Russell looks more. He looks more sophisticated now than he did in the 90s. It has to be said.
That wasn't a great time for him. When they used to have those baggy shirts tucked in.
Yeah.
Okay, what have I said about this?
So what do you think of the big hit one? So when do I get to sing my
Brilliant.
way? What a song that is.
That's in Johnny's Jukebox.
Yeah,
That's
as it should be.
easily one of their best
It
songs.
certainly is. Yeah.
An absolute tour de force in songwriting.
Yeah, that's them showing the Pet Shop Boys,
Yes.
that they can do that kind of thing too.
Yes.
So,
However, there's a very, very 90s rave dance sound going on with this.
it's got that whole kind of Euro dance vibe to it, isn't it?
Which I really
thing.
don't like.
Really?
Not a fan of that.
Well,
I was always more into the kind of more industrial end of the dancing.
Yeah. I've always if I like that kind of music, I like the more sort of
It's quite
softer stuff than that, I think.
I was a bit harsh. It's quite enjoyable, but it's so dated. It really dates the album. The song "When I Kiss You, I Hear Charlie Parker Playing" is kind of a little bit ruined by that production. That 90. It's a good song.
Yeah.
It reminds me of getting off with girls at youth club.
Right.
We used to have like.
That's the kind of music they'd be playing. Well, not that song. I wouldn't.
I'd be trying to get off with a girl, and Mastertronic or Two Unlimited was playing in the background.
Technotronic.
Mastertronic
made Spectrum games.
Yeah. And they used to hire out a Sega Mega Drive every Friday, so we'd be playing that. The girls would be upstairs. We'd have Echo the Dolphin on the Sega Mega Drive. My mate's playing darts over here. 20p for a Panda Pop. But yeah, it just reminds me of that era, and it's hard to kind of get out of that because it's such a kind of nothing sounded like it since or before. It was, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very much.
It's the kind of it's never going to come back, that sound, is it?
I wouldn't have thought so. No, but you wouldn't need to. You can just listen to albums from that period.
I love the song. I Thought I Told You to Wait in the Car.
Yeah, I love that.
I just remember I was listening to that in the car, and we were just chuckling to myself, just thinking, "Oh God, I'm just imagining what's happening in that song." I mean, is there a story with that song?
Yeah, well, I presume so. Yeah. There's a story to most of the songs, isn't there? The interpretation of what the lyrics mean.
There's some filler on this. Suhi Hark.
Suhak, yeah.
Suhak.
So that's the film director that made Knockoff. So they worked with him on this, and then they made the film together. In '98, so a few years later.
I like the Ghost of Liberace. That's good.
Yeah.
I didn't like Let's Go Surfing.
Yeah, Let's Go Surfing is the weakest one on here for me. They've done that kind of thing before and better. I quite like the fact that Gratuitous sax, the intro, is kind of a callback to that kind of propaganda intro, which is quite clever.
Yeah, that was cool.
But there's some great.
It's an enjoyable listen.
Now That I Own the BBC is brilliant.
Yeah.
really great song, and a weird video as well. But yeah, this is forever the album with My Way on it, which is one of the top songs.
Yeah, that's what really lifts this album.
Have you heard National Crime Awareness Week, which was the song they did before this album with a Scottish dance band called, I think, Finna Tribe or something? It's got like a sample from Psycho in it. They're stabbing.
Have I heard that? Was that included on this album?
I would say if you're listening to this on,
was it a bonus track?
It's on the the CD. This is the deluxe version.
Yes, I have.
So there's a CD with it on.
Yeah,
on
I have heard
here.
it.
Yeah. That's great. So that was like a sign of, they did that with like this Scottish dance group and released it as a 12-inch, and it's like a sign of things to come. So that was the first time a lot of people had heard new music from Sparks in quite a few years. So yeah, I think this one's great.
Cool.
I think they're all great. Yes. My turn or your turn?
Your turn.
My turn.
Number 17.
Still no ties. I still haven't been annoyed, Dan. So what's happening? Oh, it might be now. So yeah, this is a Woofer and Tweeters Clothing, the second album from '73, produced by James Lowe. You gave this 6 points, and I gave it 14 points.
Wow, you like this one then?
Yeah, this is up there for me. Be up there for most people. Now I've only got 2 originals of Sparks. So I don't have the first 2 albums separately.
Have they repressed them?
The Friday Music have them at the moment, and they're redoing them. They redid them for Record Store Day last year, and they're redoing them again at some point this year. I think in the next couple of months, but they're hugely expensive to get on import. So I just haven't got around to doing it yet. So we have, that's the Half Nelson cover, obviously from the first album, and then these are the album covers. So this is the album cover we're in question here, the second one.
Reminds me of what Alice Cooper did when they had a hit. I think Warner re-released the first 2 albums, which were on Frank Zappa's label, similar to this, and it's called School Days.
Yeah, well, this is Bearsville Records, and this is the
big
reissue.
difference between the Alice Cooper records and these records is these are really good,
Yes.
and they're really well produced.
Yes, they are.
The production's really good.
So the guy who produced the second one is James Lowe from the Electric Prunes. He engineered the first one for Todd Rundgren.
Todd Rundgren,
So
right.
he basically, he was there pointing the mics for that one and thinking, I should be producing this. And
Well,
then he did the second one. I think he did a better job.
I
Rundgren
disagree. I disagree. I preferred the production on this one. I found it a little bit more spatial and a little bit more entertaining. This felt a little bit like the difficult second album to me.
You think?
Yeah.
So this lineup of the band with the Mankeys,
Great band.
yeah,
Really good
they
band.
are. So 2 sets of brothers in the band. Yeah. What songs do you like on here?
Okay. Girl from Germany.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, that's funny. That's such a funny idea.
I've said it. It's got a tight early 70s sound that I can't put my finger on. It reminds me of something and I can't think what it is.
Okay.
That happens a lot with Sparks. I'm trying to think, what's that band?
It's
that they sound
because
like?
I think it's because they've influenced so many other people that when you hear the source in that respect, you always think, oh my god.
I'm assuming all the time that
this.
someone's influenced them, and it's probably the other way around.
Yeah, well, they obviously have influences. I think they were big on the Kinks and the Who and those British bands of the '60s.
There was the song's Batteries Not Included that goes into Whippings and Apologies.
Yeah.
Really good. I got a slight Who vibe.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. That would be an influence for them.
It's
I think.
quite a weird album. And
It's a very weird album.
I have a feeling I'll like this one more the more I listen to it. But I only had a chance to listen to it once.
Side 1 is absolutely perfect on here. All these songs are brilliant. Beaver O'Lindy, which is a bizarre song about this crazy rock star kind of guy. They've been doing that on the tour this year. It's really quite heavy as well. Brilliant song.
Well, it's quite a heavy band.
Yeah, Moon Over Kentucky, Morrissey's favourite Sparks song. That's really weird, but that's brilliant as well. It does tail off a little bit, I think, towards the end of side 2.
Yeah, it does. I did make a note. I said strong start,
But
and it tails off.
strong. Whippings and Apologies is one of their best songs. What did you think of the cover, Do Re Mi from The Sound of Music?
Not for me. No, I found that mildly irritating.
It's a vocal tour de force.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
He kind of doesn't go for a note at one point, doesn't he? He kind of stays. Yeah, I mean he's got a great voice, and that's probably not talked about enough. Actually, his voice.
Yeah,
very,
well,
very
exactly.
difficult.
I think he's not a trained singer in any respect. It's all sort of self-taught, and there was no sort of real decision, I think, for him to sing high. It's always been that Ron writes that way, and the songs don't get changed. If he writes a song in A, he sings it in A. So it is a challenge, I think, for Russell especially on some of these early songs, to sing them.
Do they ever drop them a key?
No. Not all the songs.
Even in the live shows, they never bring it down. Wow.
It all sounds like. I mean, he's. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he sings like that at that age. It's an impressive thing. Yeah, I do love this album. They first came over here around this period. They appeared on the Old Grey Whistle Test. Remember that program?
I do. Whistling Bob Harris.
Whispering
Bob Harris.
Whistling Bob Harris would be a different guy.
He didn't like
he
him,
hated them, and he said that they were like a combination of Frank Zappa and the Monkees. He thought they were awful. I can hear the Frank Zappa. Maybe not the Monkees. No, not so much. That's a strange, because they weren't. I mean, later on, maybe the Monkees with the more poppy stuff, but there's nothing really poppy on here.
He said some wanky stuff over the years,
He's
though,
a
hasn't he?
dick, isn't he?
Bob Harris.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Right up his own arse.
Yeah. Indeed, and I think I was reading up on it, when he said that, he was sat next to Neil Sedaka, so there you go.
Is that right?
Say no more, yeah.
Jesus
Say no more.
Christ.
I'll keep that one out because we're going to come back to that one.
My go, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, one listen. I have a feeling I'll like that album
It's
more.
one that, yeah.
I will
yeah.
give that more of a go because
Yeah, once you've had a little bit of a break from your
I did
intense Sparks-a-thon.
I did get a little bit sparks out.
Yeah, sparked out.
Okay, here we go. So
Here we go with...
Half Nelson or
Okay.
Sparks.
So it's back.
So originally
Half
the
Nelson?
band were called Half Nelson. Yeah,
And Sparks, yeah. So
they were called Half Nelson.
They were called Half Nelson. The album was called Half Nelson.
Okay.
They changed. This was the album cover, which is much better. Much
Yeah, I like that.
better. And then it changed to this.
That looks like Ian
Sparks.
Joy.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's not
Okay.
a bad album cover. But
So produced by the legendary Todd Rundgren.
Todd Lundgren, who, yeah.
So you gave this 5. I gave this 15.
So there's a bit of a disparity there, isn't
1971.
there? Yeah.
I mean, I'm programmed to like everything that Todd Rundgren does. I think.
Yeah.
And I can hear him on this.
Well, he was the one he's the only one that responded to their attempts at getting.
That's why
a
he's a
record
genius.
label.
It's got
he
nothing.
saw in them.
It's got nothing
Yeah.
to do with his like technical wizardry.
Mm-hmm.
Just like he did with Meatloaf, he could see it. He could see what the the potential was.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a really enjoyable album. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's got shades of kind of 60s psychedelia. You can kind of hear like the tail ends of some of the kind of 60s Pink Floyd, Zappa.
Yep.
And it's quite heavy.
It is, yeah. They were quite a heavy sounding band
Mm.
at this point. More so, I think, on the second one. But there's hints of sort of heavier rock, especially on something like maybe No More Mr. Nice Guys.
It's a really good production
Yeah.
for like
For the period.
for the period. They
think
put
it's
a lot of time
1971?
and energy into that album. For a debut album, you wouldn't expect that.
Yeah.
Again, I keep going back to Alice Cooper and their first couple of albums, which are a bit of a mess, really. They are what they are, but it's night and day. As a debut album, that's brilliant.
And considering it's only a couple of years after this album, isn't it? After the Alice Cooper band albums came out.
Is it 69, the first
69,
one?
aren't they? This is 71.
So 71, this is the year that Killer came out, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
What's he got inside this? Is it anything?
No, there was a big
Was that like
booklet
a-
here.
Oh, an insert.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
which it's hard to get one of these with this booklet.
Where do you find this?
Actually, this book came from Resolution Records in Bath.
Did it?
Yeah, they had a big Sparks collection
Oh wow! Excellent.
donated, and obviously they contacted us and said, do you want any of these? And I said, yeah, I'll have that one. And
You
they
take any
gave
of the
me-
others?
No, because I had them all. They gave me a good price on this.
This
as
is
well, 'cause
cool.
It's worth a bit of money.
This is cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Wow,
And it's
look
got
at this.
their own little comments on all the songs at the end. Obviously, from their perspective, this was released around the time of the Island records. So
Kimono.
yeah, Kimono and Propaganda. So they were sort of looking back on them a little bit,
Reminiscing about something that happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, looking back at those songs from the
Wonder Girl.
aborted band. Wonder Girl is the one on here.
It's brilliant.
That's their first ever single.
Well, High C was good as well.
Yeah.
Wow, what that's this, really nice thing to own this.
Yeah. I'm not so keen on the couple of Russell Penn songs on here.
Which ones were they then?
They are Saccharine in the War and Roger. They were both on the demo. There was a demo before this, which you can listen to online. It's not essential by any means, but yeah, they're both on there. And they're just not as strong at it as a lot of the other material on here. Biology 2, which isn't that a Earl Mankey thing?
Earl Mankey.
Yeah, that's probably the worst thing on here for me. But Big Bands is brilliant. Yeah, and it ends strong with Big Bands and the Alice Cooper track.
It sounds nothing
No More
like.
Mr. Nice Guys.
No, it sounds nothing like the Alice Cooper track. Nothing
Russell
like
said that he was glad that someone made a buck out of it, that song, because they certainly didn't. This album.
Do they actually seriously think that Alice Cooper ripped them off?
I don't think so. It's not a million miles away from it, is it?
It is.
It's not. It really isn't.
It is. It's
really
a completely different
It's
song.
a different song, yeah, but it's not a million miles away.
You could
from it,
see
is it?
maybe they copied the title. Maybe.
Maybe they did. Yeah,
Maybe.
But was that a saying around then? We're almost nice guys.
Probably. Yeah.
It's kind of become a saying since, hasn't it?
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know. Okay, so we've got Whomp, that sucker, which we've both given the same score, 11 points each.
Yep. Fun album. So Whomp that sucker 81. So Rocky Fever, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that was a big deal back then, wasn't it,
Yeah.
Rocky? So what Rocky came out in 81? Was that Rocky 3?
Rocky 3.
Yeah.
I
Was that
think.
81?
Or Rocky
Was that
2.
82?
I can't remember.
Rocky 2 Rocky came out in 74, 75.
Did it?
Rocky 2 was a couple of years afterwards.
It would have been Rocky
So-
3 then.
Yeah, I think it might have been, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, so obviously they had a legitimate fight, beat each other up. This is produced by Mac.
They had a legit fight.
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you giving me some really cool.
Well, maybe they did, I don't know. But that's not as far
That's
as
a
I know.
shame.
Who do you think would win?
One.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's the quiet ones you got to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, produced by Mac, who he just got off doing the Game, the Queen album
Mac.
at that time. Yeah, Reinhold Mac, the
Mm.
famous for producing Queen, and he did a Rolling Stones album as well.
Mm.
But yeah, this is the first album with the Bates Motel
Mm.
band, and they sort of jettison the electronics of the previous two albums to this one, and they started off on this. This is a kind of new wave veering into like power pop
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
record, isn't it?
Yep.
And yeah, for me, there's not a bad song on it. I love them all. The singles, Tips for Teens and Funny Face.
Yeah. Tips for Teens is
Yeah,
brilliant.
They're brilliant.
Funny Face is really a proper pop song.
It's quite dark as well, Funny Face. The whole concept of
It's a really dreamy song, isn't it?
yeah, but the whole now I've got my funny face. Yeah,
I did think it sounded a little bit dated for the year.
yeah,
You know, you listen to everything else that's coming out at 81, you think, are they're running the risk of being a little bit passé for the time. And, you know, Sparks are a band which they're very current, aren't they?
well, they're always ahead, aren't they? Ahead of the curve usually. Sometimes does seem like they've fallen behind it a little bit.
I like the song Don't Shoot Me.
Yeah.
That's not Nastasia.
That's not Nastasia.
Nastasia.
Yeah.
Slightly annoying.
That's my favourite one on here.
Really?
Yeah.
I think
I
you
just
seem
love it.
to like the annoying songs.
That's a sibilant's nightmare. That song.
Yeah.
That's not, especially the last
Yeah,
sort of minute of it.
that was really grinding my gears.
I think it harks back to the end of Equator, which with the Equator over and over again. So it's that's not Nastasia, that's Nastasia, that's not Nastasia, that's Nastasia, over and over again at the end of the song.
Yeah, I really
It's-
started to
it's
get on my
brilliant.
tits. I
It's
gotta be
just
honest.
Really funny. It's really funny and really good. I love it. I just love it.
I
I do like all the songs, but that is my particular favourite on here
Okay.
for some reason.
Yeah, tight band, and I just put I remarked that I imagine this worked really well live.
Yeah.
I imagine
Yeah,
the live gigs were probably a right hoot.
The footage of them playing with that band
Mm.
for these albums from that period, they're all brilliant. They're all
It was a
that
good
band-
period
that
for
band
live
great.
music.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper's band were brilliant around here because they were all on coke. So they were all playing twice as fast and they were brilliant.
Well, I can guarantee you that neither Ron or Russell Mel were on coke during any of these albums.
No, I know. But I mean, I guess they would have kind of, I keep mentioning Alice Cooper, but there are some similarities, aren't there?
But it's
And
good that we can draw similarities to other albums that we've
In fact,
done
they
the series.
did mention Alice Cooper in the film, didn't they?
hmm
Um,
Yeah, they said he ripped us off for No More Mr. Nice Guys.
yeah, yeah. I guess they probably would have run into each other on a few occasions.
Yeah.
Because their kind of audience probably would overlap a little bit. They're such a funny band, Sparks, aren't they? Because you're trying to picture what their average fan looks like. I can't.
No, exactly. You can't
I
really
mean,
pigeonhole people.
is it
can
fair
you?
to say
Yeah.
they are your favourite band?
I would say so now, yeah.
And that's happened over the past 6 months, hasn't it?
Well, no, not 6 months. No, since probably 18 months, I'd say. Maybe going on for 2 years now. Because it was around. I mean, it was almost when I watched that film, and then I listened to A Steady Drip, Drip, Drip. And then there's obviously, there's 25 more of these to check out. I'm going to listen to all of these.
And they seem to be our band, though.
And I've not really listened to anything else. My stats for Apple Music that year, my top 100 songs are all Spark songs, and they've all.
You've really fallen down the Sparks rabbit hole, haven't you? And you're
This year I've been listening to a bit more stuff as well.
You're fully signed up now, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Funny
But they're a kind of band that does, it's easy to have that kind of.
But what is it that makes someone do that? What is it that? I mean, it's that's the ideal. If you were to give like advice to a band, right? Your ideal fan, you don't need many of them, right? But your ideal fan is maybe get 200 of these fans who will buy everything you do.
Yeah.
Every T-shirt, every album, and on every vinyl colour, and because that will keep you going, won't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is it about
it's
Sparks
catching
that
lightning
does
in
that?
a bottle. It's weird, isn't it? I don't know what it is about them. When I wrote up the text for our Kickstarter for our Sparks tribute album that we're doing, which we'll talk about when we get to Kimono, I said they're the ultimate cult band, and I think they probably are. I mean, you could say like Devo and bands like that could be considered that. Maybe even Kraftwerk, but Sparks probably are the ultimate cult band. They have a cult following.
It's weird,
unlike any other band, really.
Why?
And it's
Why then?
And there isn't. You can't really pigeonhole your
Is
average
it the
Sparks
music?
fan because
Is
they
it
all
the music?
come.
Is it the look? Is it the
I think it's
the
it's
underdog
all of those
status?
Things. It's all of those things. For some people, it's just the music. They obviously had a bit of a rabid female following in the 70s because of the way Russell looks. They attract like the nerdy, geeky kind of music fan because of Ron Mail. He's a bit of a hero. Charlie Chaplin, I think.
I used to think that was Hitler. I remember watching Top of the Pops too. I was like, why is this guy dressed as Hitler?
Yeah, that's what that's the urban legend that John Lennon phoned up Ringo Starr or something and said, why is Hitler playing on the TV with Mark Bolan? Because that's who they kind of look like. I suppose,
I'm not trying to compare. Like I'm in a band called Sergeant Thunderhoof. I'm not trying to compare us to Sparks at all, right? But I was chatting to Darren, the drummer, the other week because we were just talking about because we want to write a new album and just talking about what we want to do for the next 12 months because it's good to set goals, isn't it? And we're thinking about getting an album recorded this Christmas and maybe doing some festival appearances next summer. And we're just talking about where we are as a band because we've been together for 10 years. And we're at a point where we seem to get, like, worldwide, we've got a few hundred fans who really like us. That's it. And there's probably a few thousand who
listen.
Who listen. Oh, yeah, they're quite good. But there's a few hundred who really like us and will buy everything we do. And, it's amazing how much we appreciate that. I don't know if these people really appreciate how much we appreciate it because we only need a few hundred people to be like that to keep us going because that gives us enough because we don't make any money, but it gives us enough money to pay for the next thing, and that's so again with Sparks, if you like exponentially around the world, you have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people doing that, which isn't a lot of people worldwide.
But it's definitely enough to keep them. I mean,
easily.
They never had to go and get any real jobs, did they? Even in that fallow period. And
I wonder what that fallow period was like.
They lived off their savings. I mean,
there was a recession around that time, early 90s. My parents went through it, and I wonder how bad it got. I wonder how much those royalties stopped because I imagine the radio stopped playing it completely.
I would have thought so.
Because you remember how fascist radio and media became around that time.
Yeah.
Anything that came before was just like, oh, that's old hat, gone.
Yeah.
Like that Reynolds Girls song. I
was reading an article.
I'd rather Jack than Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. They've disappeared, those two, apparently.
Have they?
Yeah, they were trying to track them down for a documentary on PWL. And
Really?
Can't find them anywhere.
Did they have any other hits?
No. Well, this is the interesting thing, because obviously that song was quite a big hit, but they didn't really take to live performance that well.
Stockade and Waltman, wasn't it?
Yeah. So they fell out with Pete Waterman, and they left the label.
Right.
Their father remortgaged his house and recorded a second single, which flopped, and they disappeared. They gave it up.
Really?
And disappeared. Yeah. They were trying to put, because they'd been doing all, because retro 80s stuff is a big deal now.
Yeah.
So they were trying to put on like a PWL tour with various artists, Sonia and all that, with Jason Donovan.
But what would
and they were
Reynolds
trying to get
do?
them to come on and do that song.
What, just that song?
Well, that's all they have. Just come on and do that song to a tape, but no one can find them. So.
How interesting.
And I think they were 16 and 18 at the time, in the late 80s. So obviously they're going to be married with kids somewhere.
What made
now.
you think about that then?
I was reading an article. I'm subscribed to Classic Pop magazine, and they posted an article on it the other day on their Facebook
I was
page.
properly triggered by that song when it came
I bought
out.
it on 7-inch single. I've actually got it on 7-inch single still.
I think I had it
It's
on...
an awful song. It really
was on
is.
the Now compilation that we had. Was it heavy metal, rock and roll?
Yeah,
Something
music
of the past. Music of the
rather Jackman Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, we don't want them back.
Who needs Pink Floyd, Dire Straits?
Yeah.
That's not our music. It's out of date.
But that was the.
It was Pete Waterman's anger at PWL stuff getting sidelined by the radio. At the time.
But that I remember that being the kind of zeitgeist at the time. Is like everything that came before is just sad.
Yeah.
And so, I imagine the royalty checks just stopped for all these kind of heritage acts.
Mm-hmm.
They would have picked up again later. They just had to not kill themselves in the meantime. I wonder how bad it got.
Well, I mean, there's a bit in the documentary where is it Christy Hayden who's talking about how it was really tough for them during those years when they weren't making new music. They were working on My Disciple Girl.
Do you think it was tough creatively, or do you
Nothing.
think it was tough in shit? We got to pay bills.
You're never going to find out, so it's hard to say. It's hard to you could speculate.
I always find those are the most interesting periods in every artist's life. It's like I can't about Alice Cooper again, but that album Dada that he did in the mid '80s.
Yeah, it's great.
When he's strung out on coke, there's no live band, wasn't touring, recorded this album in a shed in some backwater town. And we know nothing about that period other than shortly after he goes into rehab.
And he doesn't remember making.
I want to know everything about those couple. That's the most interesting thing, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, there was no music from Sparks in that period, so.
Yeah, I find that really interesting.
There was the My Disciple Girl songs, which
yes,
they do exist.
Yes.
And there was talk a couple of times after that they would be resurrected and the project would come back to life. And if they ever do that, I don't think Tim Burton's the right person to.
I've known people in my life
because he'll put Johnny Depp in it, and
I've known people in my life who've been very successful in the music business and have then, experienced a period of the opposite, and where they found themselves at the other end of the financial scale, and it's really fascinating to see how they cope with it, what they're doing for work, and how maybe they're clinging onto the glories of the past and using them to try and claw their way forward.
Yeah, I don't think Sparks ever did that. They're always moving forwards.
No, they're a fascinating band. They really are.
Yeah, and obviously at some point they turn their attention to making Gratuitous sax in that period. So,
yes. Yeah.
Anyway, we've digressed quite a bit.
We did.
I've forgotten whose turn it is.
Oh, you do it, mate.
I'll do it. Number 14. We're almost halfway. Still nothing massively triggering here. Exotic Creatures of the Deep, the 21st album from 2008. I gave it 10 points, you gave it 12 points, similar kind of score I suppose, for 22 in total.
Yeah.
This is them with Tammy Glover on drums and Dean Mentor, formerly of Faith No More of course, on guitar.
You can hear that. The Strange Animal, the guitars on that sound like the guitars that Dean Mentor did for Faith No More.
Yeah.
That goes kind of jagged, heavy, little bit kind of fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell he's had an influence on the sounds in some way. I love the song. I can't believe that you would fall for all the crap in this song.
Yeah, that's great, and it has some really funny performances, TV performances of that around this time as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
She Got Me Pregnant is
Yeah,
really good.
That's my favourite as well.
Lighten Up Morrissey. I like that.
Yeah.
I like
think Morrissey likes that?
I hope he does.
I think he did. I think he took it in good humour at the time. I think they sent it to him before. Before they released it.
I think Morrissey's got a much more of a sense of humour than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
He's just so sardonic, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, it's not a negative thing about Morrissey.
Is there a relationship between Sparks and Morrissey?
There was, yeah. I think they've kind of distanced themselves like everybody has these days from Morrissey. But obviously there was.
Why have they distanced themselves?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I'm guessing it's because of some of the things that Morrissey says.
Like what?
I don't know. I don't like Morrissey.
Let's go there.
I don't want to get into Morrissey.
I really like Morrissey.
We're not talking about Morrissey. We're talking about Sparks. The song like Morrissey is not a dig at Morrissey. It's a song about them.
Yes.
The person wanting Morrissey to lighten up so they can get laid more. So it's
look, I mean, Morrissey is clearly a massive fan of Sparks, and you can hear it in his phrasing and the way he the way he delivers a line.
Mm-hmm.
Like that line I mentioned earlier. What was it? The place, I can't remember what the place is.
Yeah.
That is such a Morrissey line, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's where Morrissey gets it from.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, because Morrissey is an absolute genius when it comes to lyrics, and I know you've yet to see the light with Morrissey. You're very much, you hate Smiths, don't you?
I don't. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the Smiths.
I used to hate the Smiths, and it's the past kind of 4 or 5 years. I love the Smiths now, and the vast majority of Morrissey's solo work I just find incredible. There is some utter guff in there, but anyway, there is a link.
Right.
So Lighten Up Morrissey, I liked it because it's almost like they're almost phrasing it like Morrissey would.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
The director never yelled cut.
Mm-hmm.
It again has that kind of musical theatre vibe going on.
Yep.
Which they kind of, especially since the early 2000s,
yes,
have dabbled in and out of a lot, haven't they?
Yeah. They certainly have. This one on the whole is a more sort of traditional band-based album.
It's quite
than
upbeat, isn't it?
The previous couple before it, because
it's got a lot of highlights actually. This album. What did I give this?
You gave it slightly more than me, 12.
Yeah, because Brenda is always in the way. It's really good.
That's a bonus track. That's not technically on the
album. Is it? Yeah, right. I didn't realise.
That's why it's taken you so long. You've been listening to these iTunes versions of the extra tracks
on
the end.
That's a really well. That
is a good song.
That's a bonus track. That's brilliant. Islington M1, is that a bonus track?
It is. Yeah, Islington M1 is the bonus track. So before this album came out, or around the time this album came out, they played the 21 nights in London.
Yes.
So they played all 20 of their albums over the course of a month.
So did Dean Mentor play on that?
Did Dean Mentor play on? He would have been there for the shows which these albums were on, I presume.
He was playing the shows.
I presume so. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the big thing about the Spark Spectacular, is it wasn't professionally filmed.
None of it.
No. So there was like a webcam. So I think you could buy like a webcam. You could buy it online and watch it through a webcam, which was set up just filming the stage.
Right.
And there's obviously 2008 mobile phone quality footage which exists.
Right.
But the tragedy of it is it wasn't professionally filmed. So it's such a shame, because that would be what a box set that would be.
Oh.
But that as an undertaker. So yeah. I digress. Islington M1 was a bonus track that if you bought the golden ticket for all 21 nights, all 21 shows, you got a signed poster and you got a CD with the song Islington M1, which is the postcode of the Islington Academy, which is the venue they played the first 20 nights.
It's a really good song, that.
Yeah, it is.
And that
for a bonus track.
That has that real Faith No More guitar sound on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dean Mentor.
Do you know how many people bought that golden ticket?
I don't know, but do you know how much it was?
How much?
£350.
Is that it?
Are you thinking like the gig prices now? That's like £15 a night.
Hold on, £350 for every gig.
21 shows.
Jesus Christ! You could pay that for one gig now.
Yeah. People pay more than that for Taylor Swift tickets, don't they? So.
Oh.
Well, obviously that was 2008 prices, and gigs
It's only 2008.
have gone up.
That was yesterday.
It's 15 years ago now.
Oh,
It was a while ago.
It's a blink of an eye.
But what do you think about them doing 21 albums?
Brilliant.
One after the other. Who else has done that? No one's done that. Who else
I've tried to visualise it in my head, and obviously they did all the rehearsals.
Yeah.
Am I right in assuming, was it night after night?
There's a few, like, because it was over the course of a month, obviously.
Right.
So there's a few breaks of dates here and there.
So I'm assuming they would have been in rehearsals the day of the performance.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So they must
refresh.
to refresh.
Yeah.
So before each gig, they'd probably get a rehearsal studio, and just go through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you could do it. But it's still as a kind of a mental achievement.
So I mean, how many albums has your band got now?
4, 5.
Yeah, and that would be a challenge, wouldn't it, to do
Don't think we
do
can
those
it.
over a course of a week? Yeah.
Nah, not gonna happen.
But for 21,
not happening.
Stevie Nister, who's like been the drummer for quite a few years now, says in a documentary, that you would go to rehearsals and you would you'd practice the first album, and then you do the second album the next day, and then you get those pretty tight, and then by the time you've got to the third or fourth album, you're thinking, what's the first album again?
Because you're compounding it every time you put a new album into your head.
You're taking away what
you've still got to remember the previous ones. So,
but 21 times, it's not just similar. It's all different styles of music.
That is absolutely mad.
The main, even the feat of playing it, the music, it's Russell remembering all those lyrics, because the Spark songs don't have.
Imagine if
they're so wordy.
Imagine if they did that now, Tim. You would go to every single one.
Oh yeah, of course it would. Yeah, well, it'd be even more a feat for them to do it. Obviously, they were in their 60s when they did, early 60s when they did that.
Yeah, that's
now,
amazing.
It's just it's a feat. Oh yeah, I do like this one. I think it's probably the weakest one they've done, sort of post Lil Beethoven. There's a couple of tracks on here which I'm not so keen on. I've never been high. I don't like that. That whole song is a bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like the fact that they play the intro again in the middle of the album. There's like a reprise of the intro. I'm not so keen on Good Morning. You find that a little bit grating, that song. But other than that, all the songs that you mentioned, I really like. Can't Believe You Fall for All the Crap in this song. It's just so great. Very funny. Cool.
All right, let's crack on. Let's crack on. I don't know how long we've been going so far.
6 hours. 6 hours to go.
All right, number 13.
Halfway.
So number 13, we have. This is going to piss you off, Tim.
Right.
Introducing Sparks.
Right.
From 1977, their 7th album. You gave this 18. I gave it 10. Produced by Jimmy Lenner, Terry Powell, and Russell.
Yeah.
So a favourite of yours?
A favourite of mine, yeah. This one, them, and a whole host of. Which one do you want to look at?
Well, that one, because we never see that one.
No, you don't
it's
see
on
it
the
as
other
much,
one.
Yeah. A whole host of session musicians.
They should have cigarettes in their hands,
That's
shouldn't they?
like the Ring. That's quite Twin Peaks. That.
Yeah.
Quite Twin Peaks. They recorded this one in LA with just loads of session musicians, so there wasn't a band to it. And the singles Over the Summer and A Big Surprise didn't do anything, which is a shame. This album is hard to get hold of these days. It was never reissued, so the 1977 press of it is the only thing you can get.
Never
reissued. It wasn't even released on CD until 2007 when they put it out themselves.
What?
Columbia just weren't interested in it. I think it was a bit of a flop. It was critically panned.
How long were they on Columbia for?
And just that one. And they were on. I think Big Beat was on Columbia in the States. There's enough. I think so. But
2 albums.
Yeah, but obviously Big Beat was on Ireland here. So
where do you find this copy then?
I haven't got that on Discogs actually.
Was it expensive?
I think so. It's not in the best condition.
It's not bad.
But it's not bad. I mean, the actual record itself is fine.
Yeah.
It was critically panned and mostly overlooked by most people. It's definitely had a resurgence in popularity these days, and it's very much a Sparks fan favourite album now.
Why?
Because the songs are brilliant. I think on the whole, the songs people
But why
didn't appreciate. 1977, that was the year of punk. That was the year that punk broke big.
Right.
And this is as far away from punk as you could possibly get. It's like a sort of AOR.
I found it a bit
album.
safe. A bit. The production's kind of decadent,
Yeah.
lush, kind of 70s. Bit over the top.
It's got some very over the top moments. Goofing off, for
Yeah.
example, which is a kind of like a Russian
Not for me, that
waltz. I love that song. My favourite one.
Not
My
for
favourite
me.
ones on here.
one. I like Forever Young.
Yeah.
It just fit.
Occupation. Do you like Occupation?
It's alright. It's alright. Big Surprise is a good
Big
opener.
Surprise is good.
Good opener.
They're all good. Every single one's good. I'm talking about Those Mysteries is great. That's a favourite.
They just seem like they're a band out of their time.
Yeah, they probably were at this point.
77.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
You can-
it's
you-
not.
I
Never
can-
mind the bollocks, is it? It has to be said. It's
You-
not the Clash.
Yeah, it's not
No.
Star Wars. You know,
No.
you can see why that's.
You can see why it didn't do anything, but that's what I mean. Looking back on it now, it's been completely reevaluated, and it's in my top 10.
Fair
I'd
play.
imagine it's in a lot of people's top 10 these days,
Not in mine.
but not in yours.
I like the cover.
Yeah,
I love the
it's
cover.
funny. It's great, isn't it? Those two
Yeah.
identical pictures of them. Good idea for an album cover. They've had so many great album covers over the years. So here we go.
Is it the one I think you've? Lil Beethoven, yes.
So number 12,
So
Lil
you-
Beethoven.
you love this one, don't
you? Yeah. So this is their 19th album from 2002. I gave it 23 points, and you gave it 5. So I think you're probably going to need to justify that ridiculous thing that you've done there.
This album's not for me. Look, I did listen to it again, right? So I kind of intimated to you that this one was
Yeah, you did say that you weren't
Quite-
getting on with it.
pissing me off.
Mhm. Is it all the repetition that's pissing you off?
Yeah,
Was it all the repetition that was pissing you off?
yeah.
Was it?
It's the. This is the one that's got it's not much percussion.
What else? There's not really any. But there is what comes in on a couple of moments, but obviously the Rhythm Thief at the beginning sets out, oh no,
that piss.
where did the groove go?
Oh, fuck, I hate that. I hate that. I hate
Say
that.
goodbye to the beat, and then there's no...
I hate those
But
kind
there
of
is a
gang
beat.
vocals.
It's just Russell's multi-layered
Oh, so
vocals.
well, so clever, Tim.
That's the percussion.
Oh, it's so clever.
It is. It's
It's
it
really,
is very
really
clever.
annoying. And the gang vocals on that Rhythm Thief thing. Oh, just.
Yeah.
Oh no! Where is it? Oh,
Yeah.
God!
Lights out, Ibiza.
Lights out. I don't get it. I don't get it. This just felt pretentious to me. It just felt
I can
like
see.
it
I
was
mean,
a joke too far.
I can see why why some people might think it's pretentious.
But now he's going to explain to me why I'm wrong.
It would be pretentious of me to explain why you're wrong. Wouldn't it? This album is is their career-defining opus. I think is what they said at the time. It's,
Nonsense.
This compared to obviously Balls was what Balls was.
Yeah.
Balls didn't do anything. Didn't do
Yeah.
very well. Critically, wasn't that well received.
Yeah.
They jacked in follow-up and made this.
Not
They
for me.
completely changed. This is like it's classical music and opera mixed in with pop and repetition and some of the most
lots of repetition.
some of the most beautiful songs.
Now let me say one positive thing. I Married Myself is one of my favourite Sparks songs.
Indeed, yeah.
That's a brilliant song.
Mhm.
However, the song that you love, My Baby's Taking Me Home,
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I don't understand what it is that's so stirring
It's
for
not-
people like you.
It's not what's being said, it's how it's being said, I suppose. It kind of takes you on a journey
Does it?
just by using those words used over and over again, slightly different ways, with the way the music works. To see it live, it works even better.
I just don't get it.
It's
heard-
my second favourite Sparks song.
I've listened to live versions of the song.
Mhm.
It doesn't.
Quite heavy live as well. When it comes back in
doesn't
at
do
the end.
anything for me. I'm waiting for something to click. Tell me, what am I supposed to be hearing that I'm not hearing?
When I first heard this, I remember I put it on. I was standing in my kitchen, and I thought, what's going on here? What's this? This is weird. I'm not sure about this. And then obviously I had some other albums to listen to, so I moved on. And I went back to it, and I was like, yeah, it's weird, but I quite like this bit. I quite like that bit, and My Baby's Taking Me Home kind of started working on me. And it's quite catchy because of the repetition. It's catchy. It gets in your head. And then by like the third, fourth, fifth listen, I was obsessed with it. It's just great. It's just so good. What are all these bands so angry about? It's just very funny. Suburban Homeboy. Do you like Suburban Homeboy?
No.
Philistine. Absolute Philistine. It's a masterpiece. It's in no way something you can. It's not a pick up and play thing. You have to give it time, and I don't think you've given it enough. I think maybe you'll get it one day.
I'll grant you that. I've listened to it twice.
Yeah.
It was better on the second listen.
That was my experience as well. It's the
But
kind
it
of
was
album
very, very poor on the
that
first
you
listen.
could listen to, 20 times and hear something different every time. There's
I can
bits
feel
that-
my
there's so
anxiety.
many layers.
My
to it.
anxiety levels are rising just talking about it.
But you liked I Married Myself, so it's a start.
I did. That's
What
great.
did you think of Your Call Is Very Important to Us, Please Hold?
Oh, I hated that. I absolutely look, and that's the only song I'll say. Sparks, right? The only thing I actively hate is that.
Really? What Your Call Is that particular song?
I had that on in the car.
Yeah.
I think I had the kids in the back, and even they were like, "Daddy, what is this?" That was really annoying me. So I skipped it, and then I thought, okay, I'll go back to that one when I re-listen to it on my own at work. So I put it on again here, and I was sat at the computer like, oh, because I was on the phone.
Well, there you go. See, that's what it reminds you of. It's being
What?
on hold. It's
What?
the frustration
Stress.
of being on hold.
Oh,
the stress.
what?
It's triggered that
is
stress.
not entertainment.
You're getting an emotional reaction out of it, so that's
not
good.
a good one.
That's good.
No, that was awful.
It's probably maybe if you saw the live show they did around the time. It's on YouTube, I think. Of the whole album live. It's a lot of it's to tape. It's very theatrical.
Right.
It's quite entertaining. It's Dean Mentor and Tammy Glover on stage with them playing.
Right.
And there's a whole load of theatrics going on, like Ron walking around stage with a girl for Ugly Guys Are Beautiful Girls, and he plays the. Well, he's not playing, obviously.
Well, yeah,
these
maybe
long
I should watch.
arms that he uses for.
Maybe that would make more
rhythm
sense
beats
to me.
Yeah, it's very artsy.
Does anyone else in the Sparks community not like this album?
Some people, yeah. Some people rank it lower.
Yeah.
But everybody loves My Baby's Taking Me Home. Everybody loves that.
I'm not saying I hate it. It's just I've yet to feel that moment of
It'll
euphoria.
Click. Yeah, it'll click for you. Just keep listening to it
Like
over
I said,
again.
I Married Myself. It's brilliant.
Yeah, when I saw them the first time I saw them, they played that song live, and yeah, he was singing to himself, holding a mirror, and looking at himself.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, brilliant song. Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's annoying. Didn't even make the top 10.
Sorry about that, Tim.
Yeah.
My apologies.
This is the format of this, unfortunately.
I just shat on your one of your favourite albums. In at number 11
Yeah.
is Hippopotamus from
Okay.
2017. Their 24th album, produced by Ron and Russell. You gave us 12. I gave us 18. I thought you'd give it a higher score.
Yeah, well, I really like it, but I have to put them in order, you know.
Yeah,
so
I like this one.
maybe it's a touch too long. Maybe I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's 15 songs. It's
Yeah, it was
maybe it's a touch too long.
it was a bit of a slog to get through.
Um,
Really good album though.
yeah, brilliant album. There's a couple of tracks on here. I'm not so keen on Missionary Position.
I like that.
I mean, I like the sound of the song. It's
Yeah,
just
it's really slick.
Yeah, and it's a so it's a good sort of rockier number.
Yeah.
I just don't like the concept of singing like that about that kind of subject.
Yeah,
I find
fair
it
enough.
a bit.
It's
But-
weird. It is weird when you hear brothers
Yeah.
doing a song. That is a bit odd. Edith Piaf is really good.
It's brilliant. Yeah, that's one of the best ones on here.
Scandinavian design, that reminds me a little bit of Divine Comedy.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing they do, and it's singing a song about IKEA. So.
What the hell is it this time?
Yeah.
Really good.
That's my favourite on here. That's so funny. The idea of God just being annoyed by all these prayers that are coming through and he can't deal with them.
Yeah.
So really
I love that.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I love that. They're really good at tackling subjects like that, Sparks, because they're never like denigrating about anything, even the most ridiculous subjects.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really kind of giving an opinion, are they?
No.
They're always looking at the.
No, they don't really do the political.
I like that. They always, their take on the subject is always the take that no one else would have. That's really interesting. The song "Unaware," his voice almost sounds a bit like John Lennon in that one.
Yeah, well, there's numerous moments throughout their career where they've become quite,
there's a lot
Beatlesy.
This album's quite Beatlesy.
Yeah. But then obviously the Beatles would be, when you're making pop music, the Beatles' influence stretches far and wide anyway, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, but very much on this album, there seems to be like a conscious effort. I Wish You Were Fun is really good.
Yeah, it's a great song.
And When You're a French Director.
Yep. So that features Leos Carax, French director, who went on to direct Annette. So yeah, so there's a bit of a crossover with both of the directors they've worked with, on their albums, with Suhak as well as Leos Carax. Leos Carax was a big Sparks fan. He made a film about 5 years before this called Holy Motors, which he used How You Getting Home in the film.
Right.
So yeah, clearly a Sparks fan, and then when they were shopping around Annette, he was the guy that they took it to.
Excellent.
Yeah, but yeah, this is really, really strong. This is the start really of that run that they're still on now. This album charted number 7 in the UK. Both of the subsequent albums charted at number 7 in the UK as well. So yeah, this is the start of that run where they finally made it to the level, a higher level than I think they've ever really reached before. But pretty much in all the markets that they used to dabble in, this is the first time this album for me, I think. Probably with the help of the success of FFS, really. But yeah, and again, critically it was very well received. The cover's great. Yeah. What do you think of the Hippopotamus song?
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah, good album. I don't really have anything negative to say about that.
Some people find Giddy Giddy annoying. Did you find Giddy 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 annoying?
I quite liked it, actually. Okay. It's not so annoying if it's not the whole album.
Yeah.
When it's just kind of like a little bit of a respite, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's a strong album, that.
It's got one of my favourite song titles on here. So Tell Me Mrs. Lincoln, aside from that, how was the play? Which is so funny.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good stuff.
All right, number 10, Tim.
Number 10, into the top 10. Is this me, is it? Oh yeah, it was, because I did Lil Beethoven last, didn't I? And,
you did.
I'm going to stop doing this if you're going to...
Okay, let's crack on. Come on, this is taking forever.
Let's get to the home straight. Right. I can't even get them open now.
Number 10, come on.
I'm doing it for so long. Number 10's Hello Young Lovers.
Okay, right.
From 2006. You gave it 13 points. I gave it 20 points.
Wow, okay.
This one's in my top 10 as well. This is them, again, with Dean Mento on guitar.
Yes, so
and Tammy on drums.
This takes some of the stylings from Lil Beethoven.
Yep.
The better stuff, and
brings the beat back a bit.
It does bring the beat back. Dick Around is really good, obviously.
Yeah. BBC didn't think so. They banned it.
I mean, fair enough.
They didn't listen to the actual song. They just banned it off the song title.
Yeah, but fair enough.
And then they unbanned it when they complained. They weren't going to play it anyway. We're on 6 Music.
You're not going to play a song with Dick in it, are you? I wouldn't really want my kids listening to a song with Dick in the title. As much as I hate
it's not Dick as in Dick, though, is it? It's Dick as in messing about.
Yes, but... Yeah, I mean, as much as I detest the BBC, I'm not going to have a go at them for that one.
They said it was obscene.
Yeah, well...
What do you think of this album cover?
Lovely. Really like that.
Bunnies.
Very, very aesthetically
Bunnies.
pleasing. That.
Yeah, I quite like the way
That's cool.
The whole thing looks. This album.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's Dean Mentor there.
Yeah. It was Dean and Tammy and them on this. That was a good period for the band, I think.
That's a very modern album cover, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Looks
Obviously,
like
this is the reissue that came
That looks
out.
like it could come out right now. That.
Recently.
Yeah. So the composition, especially of "Dick Around," is incredible. That's a lot of effort's gone into that. It's really slick. The song "Perfume's" really tense. I like that. It's very musical scorey again. There's lots of musical theatre and.
Considering that song is basically just a list.
Yeah.
It's actually quite good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about that. I actually found that Perfume song quite emotional. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's weird because they're just listing brands, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I was saying that bit where it's you don't wear no perfume, and it's about I know what you mean.
For me, this was what Little Beethoven should have been.
I don't think it's quite as strong as Little Beethoven.
You're wrong.
It's got Dick Around is one of my favourite Sparks songs. Waterproof is a beautiful song. There are bits, that have that kind of what might be considered a bit annoying, and things like "Here Kitty," which is a little bit. I mean, I like that song, but it's a little bit. It's got one of the most out there and weird Sparks songs on it. As I sit down to play the organ at the Notre Dame Cathedral, the last thing is all these like dissonant.
Yeah, I wasn't
stabbing
so
sounds and hallelujahs. And
I wasn't so enamoured of that
I
one.
really do like that, but it is very, very weird. It is very much a. It could have been on Little Beethoven.
Really good sound album, that.
Yeah, it's very well produced.
Yeah.
Very well produced. I like all the songs on here apart from "There's No Such Thing as Aliens," which is just okay.
Yeah. I didn't even make a note of that, so that's what that meant to me.
But this hit number 66 in the UK charts.
Okay.
So it was kind of like they were moving up
Because
Lil Beethoven was so well received critically. I think everything else has been.
Did Lil Beethoven hit anything in the charts?
No, not particularly. But it's
just critically.
Certainly, I think it did well. I think it did better when they reissued it a couple of years ago.
Right.
Like they reissued it on vinyl. I think you could actually hit sort of some of the charts there, like physical media charts.
Right. Okay.
Because it's amazing.
All right. Number 9. Is Terminal Jive from 1980.
This is a controversial one because
their 9th album, produced by Moroder, Harold Faltermeyer.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that both me and you gave this a very good score.
Because most people don't like it.
So you gave this 19, I gave this 17. Now I watched one ranking video. I think it might have been that chap that you were speaking to on
Larry,
YouTube.
Canadian Stud Muffin.
Actually, no, it wasn't a ranking video.
He's done a couple of rankings.
It was a review of this album.
What, that he done?
Yes, I think so, of Terminal Jive.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Has he got like he's holding his nose?
The
and
thumbnail was like that.
Yeah, I've
I was
seen
like,
that.
so that made me watch it. So that works. When you do thumbnails like that, that makes me watch them.
If you're watching this, Larry, that was a good choice.
Clickbaity kind of. So I was like, and so he obviously doesn't like it. Although he does qualify the review.
Yeah, and I think he likes it more now than he did before.
I don't understand maybe I guess for people like Larry, it was 1980. He was living through it, and there was and obviously he just bought number 1 in Heaven.
Yeah.
The year before. So maybe he was expecting something very similar to that, which it isn't.
No, not exactly. No, the sound isn't a million miles away, but it's not the same as number 1 in Heaven. I think Sparks themselves consider this to be a lesser album. There is a rumour that Ron didn't even play on this as such. That Harold Faltermeyer actually played keys on a lot of it, and they had so many songs rejected for this by Moroder. Moroder didn't really produce this; it was mainly Faltermeyer that did this, and obviously he's a great producer.
So Moroder was more of like an executive producer.
Moroder's like his, he's a big shot, wasn't he, in electronic music. all throughout that period, for the late 70s and early 80s. So a lot of their stuff was around that time was still recorded at Musicland, his studio in Berlin.
Right.
But they weren't actually working with Moroder. On this, I think he basically just overseen. I think he's got like a songwriting credit here or there on here, Moroder. But yeah, he's on stereo. He partly wrote stereo. And Faltermeyer's got writing credits on here as well. But the rumour is that he played more than Ron on the actual album, which is probably why it might stick in their craw a little bit. But all these songs are great. People don't like the instrumental version of When I'm With You cropping up on it.
That's
very much
unnecessary.
The thing is, that is very much, if you listen to a lot of disco albums, Moroder stuff, they do a reprise of the title track.
Yes, so
at
like,
the end
like
of the first
Spacer
side.
and stuff like that. Yeah, I understand
that. Does Donna Summer stuff. It does happen quite a lot.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I
So
understand that.
that's why it's there. There's lots of theories over the years why people thought that album is there, because that's the kind of thing with that format of, you know, the Moroder disco era stuff.
Yeah.
They always used to do that.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a shame for the album.
It's a
now.
great song, so why not have it?
I
again?
love the song. I love the song. It's one of my favourite Spark songs
Yeah,
ever.
it's just brilliant. Big hit in France, this one. This is where they got big in France and they moved to France for a while.
I can see that. It has a bit of
number 16 in the French singles
You imagine
charts.
a hot French summer.
Yeah, Young Girls was quite a success there as well.
Right, good song.
Yeah, Young Girls, controversial, I'd imagine, but a good song.
I like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've said not very PC.
No, no.
I'm not too keen on the rock and roll people in the disco world.
Yeah. I like the sound of it. The lyrics are a bit twee,
it's a bit kitsch.
Yeah.
I don't
Stereo is brilliant.
Yeah,
Especially if you're still on headphones.
Stereo reminds me of Tube by Army.
Yeah.
Very good. Very cool. The album, you could say it doesn't quite live up to that opening song. That's a really strong opening hit single. And the album doesn't quite have the same. But there's something about it. That really makes me feel like that's a seminal moment in time.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's shot in Harrods, apparently.
That's cool.
Cover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I think they literally went in there. They didn't have permission.
Mm.
Just went in there and did it. There's one on the back as well.
It's that kind of Joy Division look to the
It
the
does,
way
doesn't
they.
it?
Yeah.
I think there's a big influence on Joy Division.
Yeah.
Not so much this one, but the one before.
Oh, of course,
Definitely.
because the guys from them and New Order are in the film, aren't they?
Yeah. They were obsessed with Number One in Heaven, apparently. Aren't they?
Yeah.
So number 8. So this one's tied with Terminal Jive. So we need to decide which of these is going in at number 8 and which is going in at number 9. So let's talk about this one, which is The Girl Is Crying in a Latte.
Right.
Which you gave 19 points and I gave 17. So with Terminal Jive, I gave it 19 and you gave it 17.
Right.
Scores are tied, so we need to decide between the two, which is the better album.
So I gave this a better score.
You gave this 19.
Terminal Jive.
Yeah. You gave Terminal Drive 17.
So
And you gave this one 19,
so
and
this
vice versa for me.
This is the brand new album.
So this is the brand new album, came out in May this year.
Okay.
This is the deluxe vinyl, so it's got slightly.
No, I'll be totally honest.
Cover.
I don't think I've heard this album enough because it is new.
It is
Obviously,
new.
I've listened to it all, but I really liked it.
This is the album that I've listened to the most this year. You'll be unsurprised to hear.
Right. Okay. So you like this? You rate
I
it?
love it. It's in my top 10. Yeah. It's in number 10 in my listing. In fact, it sneaks into the top 10.
Yeah. I love the title track. Obviously, it's got a very modern sound on this album, which is cool. Nothing is as good as they say it is. It sounds like it could have come at any point in the last 40 years. That song.
That song wouldn't be out of place on one of the big island albums from the 70s.
Yeah.
I think that's the sound. That's what I quite like about this album, because it kind of harks back to certain eras and certain songs.
Yes.
So
it does.
You've got like electronica on the title track, and a bit of the repetition on the title track. You've got that sound. On Nothing Is As Good As They Say It Is. You've got like the orchestral stuff on Take Me For A Ride, and to an extent on It's Sunny Today. And yeah, this is the first album they did back on Island Records, like 50 years after they signed to them originally. They signed to them in 73 and released Kimono in 74.
Wow.
And, went back to them for this album. Yeah, it's a modern classic, I think.
The Escalator I really like.
Yeah.
We
Very-
Go Dancing's
Very
really cool.
minimalist. Yeah, We Go Dancing's quite. It's quite a weird song as well.
It's got like
They were playing this live on the tour. It worked really well.
it's a real mix of modern and classic Sparks. They've really melded the two. There's the song When You Leave. That reminds me of Morrissey.
Yeah. Okay.
So in a weird way, it's like they've influenced him and he's influenced them. Kind of like late 90s, early 2000s era Morrissey.
Okay. Well, I don't know any of that era Morrissey to compare, but I'll take
I,
your word for
I
it.
honestly think you're missing a trick a
Yeah.
little bit.
I'll continue to miss that trick. Thank you.
No, I think at some point I'm gonna have to do a Morrissey one of these.
I like First of the Gang to Die. That song. Does it sound like that?
Well, yeah, there's definitely shades of that.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, the last Morrissey album was a couple of years ago. Reminded me a little bit of this because it had that kind of modern edge about it. It sounded quite kind of cutting edge, but this is I mean, there's some really good pop songs.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way. It's a great pop song. Gee, That Was Fun is a lot more morose. It's there's something really dark about that song.
Yeah. And it's a bit foreboding, isn't it? Putting that on the end of an album.
It's quite
50
melancholic.
years into your career. Gee, that was fun.
I mean, that could be a bookend to a career,
Could be. Yeah,
couldn't it?
it could be.
I don't think it will be.
It's not going to be.
I
but
hope it
could
won't be.
Well.
It would be a very fitting.
God
way
willing, there'll be.
it would be a
plenty more of these
very
albums.
fitting way to finish it.
But it would be, yeah. I mean,
I
this,
don't
and this
think it will
album,
be.
this album stands up with anything that they've released throughout their career, easily. So, yeah.
It's mad that 52 years into their career, they should be releasing an album like this.
Yeah.
Because it's so current, and it's so unique,
Yep.
and they're
Agreed.
moving forward all the time.
Agreed. Yeah, they don't look back.
That's a hell of a hype sticker. Spectacular new masterpiece.
Yep. The critically acclaimed band's spectacular new masterpiece.
Fair play.
Yeah. Well, that is a hype sticker, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, but it's right.
All right. Well,
Nothing they're saying there's wrong.
however,
Brilliant album.
now we know that that's tied with Terminal Jive,
Yeah.
and you've given Terminal Jive a higher score.
Mm-hmm.
I'm inclined to agree with your score and say Terminal Jive.
Got above this one.
Yes.
I was just about to say I would agree with you, and put this above Terminal Jive.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I would be happy to do that on the strength of this new album.
Now I'm thinking about it. I think I prefer Terminal Jive to that.
Yeah.
Even though I've given that a high score, I'm just trying to think. Because obviously the way I score them,
Yeah.
Terminal Jive means more to me than that.
When I'm with you has got
That's
It's
my
such a
that's
special
my
song, isn't it?
my alarm call now.
Oh, is it?
That song.
yeah.
But it's up to you. You're the Sparks fan, so I will give that to you.
I want to put this one above Terminal Jive.
Okay, so that's going to go at 8,
Yeah, this is going to go at 8.
and Terminal Jive at 9.
Yeah, just because I think you've made a good case for it,
Right.
and we probably really should put it above Terminal Jive.
Fair play, fair play.
I think Sparks would want it above Terminal Jive.
Well, I've got a lot of love for Terminal Jive.
Yeah, so do I. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, so in at what are we now?
Written on there.
7th.
Yeah, it's on the envelope.
7. Sorry.
And that's not a tie, is it?
Big Beat
No. Big Beat.
from
Okay.
76. Produced by Rupert Holmes and Jeffrey Lesser.
Yeah.
You gave this 15. I gave it 21.
21.
I did.
So right high up for you.
Yes.
So
And this is
Okay,
this
interesting.
is the one I listened to recently.
Yeah.
Very recently.
very recently.
For the first time. It's got a very heavy drum sound on this album.
This is their heaviest album from like a rock perspective. This is
Not just a rock perspective, but
from a sound
a
perspective.
production.
Which is weird because those two guys that produced it are kind of more musical theatre kind of directors.
It's very in your face.
Really. But it's really pumped up and yeah, like you said, in your face.
I like it. I like it's there's bits of Roxy music again on this album.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Nothing to Do?
Yeah.
There's more of a band sound. I bought the Mississippi River. I bought the Mississippi River.
Yep.
It's great. I
Mm-hmm.
really like that. The lyrics are brilliant on that song. And I like Everybody's Stupid. I know some people don't like that one.
Oh, I do. I like it.
I like that song.
I can see why people don't like it because it is quite spiteful. But
yeah, I like that.
but I look at it. I mean, they made the album of their career with Indiscreet, and it was a failure. And they basically went back to the States after it, and were probably licking their wounds a bit, and they were probably pissed off. I mean, it's very possible I would be pissed off after making an album like Indiscreet. So they made something a bit heavier and a bit angrier, and I think Everybody's Stupid is kind of sort of saying, well, you know,
This is
what is
probably
wrong with you people?
This is easily the least PC album they've done.
Oh yeah, it's got a couple of
throw her away and get a new one.
Yeah,
It's proper misogyny. It's great. I love it.
yeah.
It'd be-
Obviously, it's done from the point of view of a character. It's
Yeah.
not,
Oh yes.
yeah.
It's ironic. It doesn't mean you agree with it.
No, indeed, and white women, of course, as well.
It's just a brilliant song. That's so good.
It is a great song. Yeah, it's a real
what-
stomping.
Do they ever mention that song anymore?
When they did it, because there's footage of the 21 Nights gigs on YouTube, like I said earlier, just like shaky camera, mobile phone footage. But for both of those songs, before they played them, Ron got up from this keyboard, went to the front of the stage and said, "This next song, you know, don't take it literally. Think of it at the time. It was recorded at the time. Don't take everything we say as literal truth," kind of thing, and then sat back down and then played
That's
the
such
song.
a shame that he felt
But-
the need to do that.
It did it in his own kind of very sarcastic way.
Like a little disclaimer.
Yeah. It was
That's
amusing.
sad though, isn't it? That's sad that he felt the need to do that. Because I don't listen to those songs and think, oh, they're racist, misogynist.
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
I know the joke. I'm mature enough to understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's a really slick record. It's very heavy sounding.
Yeah. The guy that drummed on it, Hilly Boy Michaels, he went on tour with them as well. He was a Sparks fan, I think that got the gig kind of thing. He did an album in the 80s with a song called Calling All Girls, which is great, and it sounds pretty much exactly like Virginia Plain,
Right.
which also sounds a bit like Glass of Champagne by the band Sailor. So
Yes.
that's like the most obvious glam rock song.
Yes.
That
makes sense.
Yeah, so you can kind of tell the influences that he had.
I mean, also like I think it's in White Women. There's a line that says, "To me, it doesn't matter if their skin's passé."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's just genius, isn't it? So it isn't a racist, misogynist song.
No.
It's.
No.
I mean, in fact,
As long as they're white from head to toe.
yeah. In fact, that lyric kind of makes more sense now than it did then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Again,
kind
they
of,
get ahead of their time. So
it's really clever.
yeah.
I really like this album. And yeah, about 3 or 4 of the songs have all gone into my favourite
Okay.
Sparks playlist.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm a big fan of this as well. They around the time of this, they went on. They were in a film, Roller Coaster,
Right.
which is one of those like awful.
Have you seen it?
I've got it. I've got it on Blu-ray.
Have
yeah,
you?
Yeah. It's actually quite enjoyable,
Yeah.
but it is one of those awful disaster movies, 70s disaster movies, and they're in it playing.
They were never that good, those disaster movies, were they?
Big Boy and Filler Up. They play. Yeah, it's not.
What's the one, the fire one? Inferno.
Towering Inferno.
Towering Inferno, yeah.
It's that kind of thing. It's,
that's the
it's
impression I
the
get.
kind of thing that you would now get on. It would be played on Channel 5 in the afternoon, kind of
Yes.
thing,
Yeah,
between
yeah.
game shows.
I can't say
Yeah.
I've seen the roller coaster film, but
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
the clips of it on that.
Yeah, it's on the documentary. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I think they regret being on it now. That it wasn't the Jacques Tati film they wanted to be in at the time.
I don't think they couldn't have expected that, could they? They must have known.
No, what do you think
Surely.
of the?
That's
think of
great.
the cover?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. Big
Iconic.
beat. Yeah,
Iconic.
iconic.
Okay, your turn.
My turn. Number six. Getting there now.
Come on, Tim.
Come on.
Look, I'll be up in the morning.
It's now 4 a.m. And we're still
Knackered.
talking about Sparks albums. So it's a steady drip, drip, drip.
Yes.
Drip,
Okay,
drip, drip, drip.
so
You gave this 23 points.
Their
I gave it
penultimate
16
album.
points for 39 points in total.
2020,
Yes.
the height of the
The
pandemic.
COVID album.
Ugh.
The COVID album. The COVID years.
God.
For me, it's got my favourite Sparks song on it, which is good. This is the album that I first listened to after I watched The Net, and I thought, oh yeah, it's that band Sparks. They're obviously going to be pretty good. I reckon I'll check them out.
Mm.
And this was out, so I put it on, and then All That came on, and well, this song's amazing, and it means more to me now, obviously, than it did then. But the whole album is strong as well.
What score did you give this? Sorry.
I gave it 16.
Okay.
You gave it 23. I think Latte's better as an album, but I think this one's better than Hippopotamus.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the COVID era album, and the physical formats were delayed. It was released digitally first. It's this particular vinyl. It's cut at 45, and it sounds brilliant.
Oh, so it's double.
It's double
yeah,
at
which
40,
is
is what
45
Island should have
RPM.
done. Yeah, Island should have done with Latte, because it sounds crap on vinyl.
Does it?
It's like
But how
it's only
long-
50 minutes long. It's on one record, and it's mastered so loud that the last couple of tracks are.
Well, the
there's a
new
lot of
one's on
distortion.
one record, is it?
Should have been on two. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
So yeah,
50
so Island
minutes
Records, you balls that up. In my
50
opinion.
minutes
Yeah, it's
on
no,
one
it's like
record.
47 minutes or something, and it's all on one record, and because of the way it's done.
47. Okay.
Yeah, not a fan of the way they
Can't
did that.
really get much more.
Which
about
is why,
21 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. BMG did a good job on this, putting it over 2 and cutting it at 45, which is what Island should have done with the
does
new
sound really
one,
good.
'cause,
45 sounds great.
That's the way forward with a longer
Yeah.
album.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, this is a full band album again. You know, moving on from the sound of Hippopotamus, but it's not a million miles away, obviously, from the sound of Hippopotamus. It's quite a sweary Sparks album, this one.
Put your fucking iPhone down
Yeah.
and listen to me.
Yeah, which
that's
is
brilliant.
fun. Yeah, and Please Don't Fuck Up My World at the end as well, which is like, it's like a sequel to Never Turn You Back on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Earth, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's nowhere near as good, obviously.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But iPhone, yeah, I do like iPhone.
Left Out in the Cold, I really like.
Yep.
I'm Toast. Has that kind of 80s rock sound from the 80s.
It harks back to like some. It could be on Whomp.
Yeah,
Couldn't it? I
yeah,
think?
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, All That was a great anthem.
All that is, yeah.
Very solid
Very
album.
touching as well. Yeah, I love most of the songs on here. Yeah, Lawnmower is brilliant. Such a funny idea, but a great song. Very much like Hippopotamus on the previous album. And the Existential Threat, which is, they wrote this album before COVID, and then COVID, the Existential Threat came along. Yeah, great stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so we come to number 5.
Okay. The weight of these is going to push over my box. Number 5.
Ah, okay. Interesting. So we gave this the same score. Number 1 in Heaven from 1979.
Okay.
We both gave this 22.
Yep. It's in my top.
Obviously
5.
produced by Giorgio Moroder. Their 8th
Yep.
album. Very, very iconic album. I think that's my favourite album cover of theirs.
You reckon?
I think that's
It's a great album cover.
it's really ahead of its time. That it
Mhm.
looks
Well,
like,
this whole album is ahead of its time, isn't it?
yeah.
This album, I'd say this album, along with The Age of Plastic by the Buggles, which came out the same year,
Yeah.
both
yeah.
those albums invented the 80s.
You think?
Those are the blueprint for everything that came in the 80s, pop music wise, synth pop.
Well, that's some of the stuff that
New
Bowie
wave.
was doing.
Yeah, but not to the not to
Very
the extent.
influential,
Not
wasn't
to-
it?
Yeah, but not yeah, but that's
The
in
Berlin
the more
albums.
not so much with pop music. I'm talking about.
I don't know. I
You
mean,
know, all those-
like Low.
This is every single like synth pop duo in the 80s
True.
got the whole shtick from this, really.
True. Chubayami and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, probably the biggest influence on what became 80s music, which is my favourite era of pop music by far.
Okay.
But yeah, a massive change in musical direction. They shot the idea of working with Moroder to a journalist that actually knew him, and sort of said, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to be working with Moroder," and and they sort of introduced themselves via this journalist.
Well, that's what happens in life, isn't it? You put something out into
cool
the
little
ether, make things happen.
And he was looking for a band to work with.
That's interesting.
And so Sparks were ideal for that. There's only like 6 songs on it. They released 4 of them as singles.
So obviously, yeah. So Moroder's all over this record.
Moroder is
Tryouts for the Human Race.
Yeah.
It's really iconic. Obviously, it's got that sublime production, Blade Runner, Donna Summer, that kind of really lush, sucks you in.
I like Moroder's music, his own music, like From Here to Eternity. That album is just one of the sort of best disco albums ever made, and E = MC Squared he did as well, which I really like.
Yeah.
He's a talented guy.
The only thing I'm not so keen on the Academy Award performance.
No.
It's a bit long and I got a bit tired out.
I'd say, I love it. I'd say it's the weakest song on the album. I would agree with you.
I like La Dolce Vita.
Yeah.
Beat the Clock.
Yeah.
Is Beat the Clock. And of course the title track.
Yeah. My favourite. Yeah.
Interesting.
Weirdly, so I'm guessing it came.
A lot of these albums were
at the
there,
end
weren't they?
of the disco boom. It's not disco.
A lot of the films were though, weren't they? Like Blade Runner, wasn't a success when it came out,
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, it's definitely not considered a bad album now. It's considered one of the best by pretty much everybody, I think, and I'm glad we've agreed on that.
It's brilliant. It's a really good album.
Yeah, I mean, it's full on electronica, isn't it? It's all synthesizers.
Well, let's be honest. These
drums.
top 5 are all stone cold. They're gonna be stone cold classics.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Yeah. Okay.
I'll pass you number 4.
Number 4. Down to the
Nitty Gritty.
nitty-gritties. So number 4, Indiscreet
Okay.
from 75. I gave it 25 points.
Your second
My
favourite?
second favourite, yeah. You gave it 20 points. So yeah, you still ranked it obviously very high, but not quite as high as me.
Really good production on this album.
Well, yeah, this is Tony Visconti.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bowie just now, I mean, he produced all of Bowie's big stuff, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he went back to Sparks for Plagiarism and did all that symphonic stuff as well. But obviously, this is a very classical influence album, and his arrangements for Visconti on here are just brilliant for that. I was very interested to hear what you thought of this one, because I was unsure whether you'd like it as such.
I love Hospitality on Parade. It's really unique. It's really out there. There's loads of music hall sounds on this.
Say music hall or music hall?
Music hall.
Yes, yeah.
I love Tits.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
What about the song?
Can I just have a look at the track listing?
You can. You may.
Again, this is only one I've heard recently, and it's considered, up there.
Yeah, it's one of the Holy Trinity, as it were.
Yeah, it's a really, really strong album. I need to listen to this more. That's all I can say about this. I need to give it more, let it sink in. There's nothing about this album that I didn't enjoy.
Yeah, it's quite a journey.
What year is this?
75. So this was the one after they did Kimono and Propaganda in 74. They did this in 75, and this one wasn't a success.
It wasn't.
The singles, which were Get in the Swing, hit number 27, and then Looks hit number 26, which was, considering that obviously This Time was number 2, and the singles from Propaganda were sort of top 20. it was considered a failure, and after this they went back home and did Big Beat. So yeah, this was the last hurrah for the UK band. Dinky Diamond, the drummer on this, apparently found it a bit not his style as well. He didn't enjoy playing on it as much.
Did it
as he
end
did,
well with that band?
Not as such, no. I think there's some of them that hold grudges.
Right.
I think Martin Gordon, who was on Kimono My House, holds a grudge against the band a little bit for the way he was treated.
Was he let go after Kimono?
He was let go after Kimono, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Dinky Diamond obviously sadly died a few years ago at his own hand. And he never really, did anything of importance in the music industry again after he was in Sparks. I think a few of the guys that were in the band did a band together in the 80s.
Oh, did they?
Which wasn't a success at all. So, yeah, it's a sad end for the UK band because they were the band, I think, for Sparks in many ways. But doesn't distract from this album. This is every song is brilliant. Every single one of them.
The Sparks brothers, do you think they're quite ruthless when it comes to their bands?
I think they have been. Yeah.
So they've probably left a few disgruntled people along the way.
Maybe have. Yeah.
Their original band, who they left after the second album,
the Mankeys. Yeah.
What were their feelings towards the band?
Well, they went back to after this. They went back to the US and they did work with Earl Mankey again. So they were possibly thinking before they went into doing Big Beat of possibly resurrecting that original lineup of Sparks, but it didn't work out. So they actually didn't go as far as to record an album with him.
Did they maintain a relationship with Earl Mankey, or?
Well, they must have done to work with him again after, because obviously they junked the Mankeys and then moved to the UK, recruited these guys, chopped and changed a little bit over the course of the 3 albums they did here, and then junked them all, and then went back to the US, went to Earl Mankey, tried it, didn't work, and then went with them all. They were more sort of session musicians for the rest of the other 2 70s albums, and then of course Number 1 in Heaven and Terminal Jive was just the 2 of them because they didn't need a band, did they, for that? Yeah. But yeah, this is great. I mean, Without Using the Hands is my favourite song on here. I love it. It's really funny and really strange, but a lot of it is. Tits is a great song, especially when you find out the punchline to it as well. Yeah, it's just brilliant. I love it.
Excellent. Okay, top 3 now.
Okay.
Do you have a feeling what's going to be number 1?
Kimono or Propaganda, I'm thinking. Well, Angst in My Pants is left, doesn't it? So is that next?
So, yes, at number 3, Angst in My Pants, from 1982. The 11th album produced by Mac. You gave it 21. I gave it 25.
Oh, okay. So your second favourite one.
I love this album.
Yeah, this is the best 80s one. Without a doubt.
It's a really punchy album.
Yeah.
It screams of 82, sorry.
Yeah.
It sounds like Roy Thomas Baker produced this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just really strong from the very beginning. Like I Predict is brilliant.
Yep.
The only track I'm not massively enamoured with is Sextown USA.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
That's the only one that kind of sticks out for me. Sherlock Holmes sounds really futuristic. That sounds like it could have been like Empire of the Sun or Tame Impala.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful song as well.
Instant Weight Loss is great. Eaten by the Monster of Love is really good. It's a really, really consistent. It doesn't let up. I love the production as well. It's really just sounds like they've turned all the knobs up.
Yeah, this was the second album that Mac did with them, and it sounds better than Whomp.
I love the cover as well.
And the cover is one of the probably the most iconic.
I love the look on Russell's face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He looks really happy to be marrying his brother.
I love that. Yeah. No irony at all.
And I love the back cover.
No
as well,
irony. He looks like he's properly posing. Yes, it's great.
What can you say about this? I mean, like what you said, every single song on here, with possibly exception of Sex 10 USA, I really,
that's
really
the
enjoy.
only one that kind of jars a little bit. That's the only thing.
I mean, this album really didn't do anything in the UK, but it sort of built on their success that was starting to, their stars in the ascendancy, as it were, in the US after.
It has quite an American sound.
Yeah, Angst, the song, and Eaten by the Monster of Love were on a film called Valley Girl, which was like a rom-com with Nicolas Cage.
Right.
From '82, which I've never seen, but I think it's coming out on Blu-ray soon, so I shall pick that up.
Did Frank Zappa do a song called Valley Girl?
Did he? I don't know. But yeah, all the stuff on here is brilliant. Mickey Mouse is that iconic performance I showed you on SNL with Danny DeVito introducing them doing. They did Mickey Mouse on there, and it's so funny.
Really good band.
So funny. Yeah, the Bakesmith band were brilliant. Yeah, that's
heavy.
That performance is, yeah, it was heavy for that kind of music live. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was going to be your favourite actually.
Nearly.
Nearly.
Very nearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good album. Alright then, so, Tim.
So, they're tied.
I'll tell you, I'll do number 2 so you can do number 1.
Well, they're tied, so...
oh,
yeah.
damn.
1 and 2 are tied. So we've given
So-
them the same score. So we know what they are.
Right,
So
okay.
this is going to be difficult.
Okay, Tim.
There's me the other day thinking it was hard
Right.
choosing the songs to write.
Okay, so I've got Propaganda,
Okay.
which is your favourite album.
Yep.
You gave it 26, I gave it 24.
So it'll be the other way around then. For,
Produced by Muff Winwood, the great Muff Winwood,
Yeah.
brother of Steve Winwood,
Yep.
the Winwood dynasty.
And I've got Kimono in My House from 1974, the third album, produced by Muff Winwood, which I gave 24 and you gave 26 for a total of 50. So
Crazy, innit?
imagine that, eh?
74.
Those albums both came out in the same year.
1 year. 1 year.
Which one do you want to talk about first? Let's do Propaganda first.
Let's do Propaganda first.
Yeah, let's do Propaganda first. Let's do the best
Both
one
of them have
first.
got great covers. Their artwork was really on point around this time.
Yeah, and this one with the whole because it's the whole
It's a story, isn't it?
story of them being. If you look in the inner as well,
Yeah.
are they escaping here? They talked about this in the documentary, didn't
Right,
they?
of
Like
course,
there's the
yeah.
phone there, so it gives you that extra thing to look at when you're listening
It's
to
that
the.
it's that link
to
to
the
Alice
album.
Cooper again, because
Yeah.
he was always really hot on this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I always appreciate a good bit of record sleeve design.
Yeah, and they certainly had that at this point.
Okay, so a really punchy production, tight band. Obviously,
Yeah.
At Home, At Work, At Play is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I noticed about this album is it sounds very British.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Very
Kimono
British.
does as well, I think, but this
But
one.
the Propaganda for me, it has that kind of, I don't know, Englishness about it, rather than British, actually Englishness.
Mm-hmm.
The song Reinforcements, it just reminds me of the seaside. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Again, it's tapping into that kind of, that. I don't know what it is. This album makes me feel quite warm.
Okay.
Don't Leave Me Alone With Her is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Never Turn Your Back on Mother Earth is obviously one of their best songs. And I love Something for the Girl with Everything.
Yeah, it's a
That's just
favourite of mine as well.
brilliant
Yeah.
songwriting.
It is, yeah. Again, quite sort of a dark undertone to it as well.
Yes.
But yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's one of my favourites. BC is one of my favourites. I love the whole stop-start kind of nature of that song, and there's some great performances of them playing it, because I think it must have been one of the first songs that was written for Propaganda, because they play it quite a bit on some live performances from that era, and the crowd are just, is this the end of the song? I don't know. And Russell would introduce it though, this is the second verse, and then this is the next verse, because people just didn't get it that far ahead of its time. They're crazy.
Were
crazy
they
thing.
playing all about around then, or was it mainly Britain, Europe?
Well, it was mainly in Britain, but they went over and did a couple of TV appearances
in the States, which is where a lot of the fan base in America first saw them. They did the Midnight Special and Don Kirshner's rock concert in '74.
Midnight Special was always good.
Yeah.
The production values in that show were really good.
And the Midnight Special, they've sort of relaunched it as a YouTube channel, and they're putting all the old performances on there. So all 4 songs that Sparks played from Kimono, which are on there, and the quality of the video is just, it's just you wouldn't expect it. You think it's gonna look like some
that's the thing I noticed about some of this stuff I was watching.
Yeah.
The actual quality, they've obviously kept the film, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the audio quality is really good.
Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't seen them, there's four tracks on the Midnight Special YouTube channel, which are worth checking out for sure. But yeah, considering this album came out 6 months after Kimono My House, it is Kimono My House, but just turned up a little bit more. Slightly balmier. But yes, everything about it is just.
But it doesn't have This Town on it. It doesn't have a song like This Town. That's the thing about Kimono. It's got This Town on it, which is so of its own. There's nothing else like it. There's nothing else like it even in the Sparks catalogue.
No, probably not.
Nothing.
No. So you think that's what you
I'm not saying it makes it better. What? I mean, obviously, I put Angst in my pants above this.
You did, yeah.
Only because I love that album. Okay, this is a brilliant album, but for me, the Kimono just edges it ever so slightly. It's got This Town on it. Obviously, it's got all the other songs on it.
Well, I'll tell you my thinking. Should we talk about Kimono now then?
Go on then. And I love that artwork. That's the best, actually, isn't it?
I thought you just said that Angst was the best.
I'm wrong. That's the best. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, aesthetically, that's an amazing piece of art.
I'm just amazed that they let them get away with not putting the band name on the front of the album.
I love that. That's totally.
So it's on the back.
Yeah, I love that.
With the photos of the band, but yeah, it's not on the front. That's what Ron wanted. That was his vision for it to look like this.
From an artist's point of view, I can imagine that hanging in the Tate.
Yeah.
The colours are just brilliant.
Michi Hirota and Kanuko Okamura from the Japanese Red Buddha Theatre. I had to write that down to remember it, of course. Michi, whichever one she is, she went on to sing on... I'm going to say
that's Michi.
Oh, yeah, that looks like Michi. She went on to sing on Bowie's It's No Game, which is a track on Scary Monsters.
Really?
Yeah, she's on that. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Spot of trivia
did
for you.
Bowie ever say anything about Sparks?
Not that I know of. No. No. But this is a favourite album of Morrissey's, obviously. Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, because we wouldn't think that, but they influenced punk as well. It was one of the albums.
Lydon was a fan.
Yeah, one of the albums that he used to listen to constantly at the time. And yeah, it's the one that we're doing 50 years later, tribute album to. Moving on to that briefly as well. So we've a series of tribute albums that we've been doing over the last few years. This is volume 4 now, isn't it? Coming out on the 50th anniversary of Kimono My House's release on the 1st of May 2024. We've got 10 bands recreating the 10 tracks on Kimono My House, including your band, Sergeant Thunderhoof. We have the very first band we had on our label, Foxjaw, doing a track. We have the wonderful Silvery doing a track, and bands like Josiah, Earl of Hell are on there. We've got quite an eclectic mix, haven't we?
Yeah, of, Black Helium,
yeah.
Besva Jelson.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, they're Swedish. They're great
really,
as
really
well.
good.
Really
band.
good. Looking forward to hearing what they do with their
Chaos
song.
Manor, and I mean, it's a real stacked lineup.
I had to I had the same experience that Edgar Wright did with when he was approaching people that he didn't know if they were Sparks fans or not. I remember him saying this in a couple of interviews. He was approaching them for interviews for the Sparks Brothers film, and they were 9 times out of 10 they were Sparks fans. The people that he were approaching, and I found that with most of the bands that I approached, you listen to them, you find they had that something a bit different
Yeah.
I bet they're Sparks fans, and most of them were.
Because, I mean, the little label that we run, we tend to work with kind of bands from more the heavy side of things. Not really metal, we're not really that type of label.
No,
but
it's more like the
kind of
psychedelic-y...
hard rock.
Yeah, hard rock stuff. We definitely went for the more psychedelic-y kind of bands on this one.
So this was a bit of a risk, I thought, actually. I mean, this was your choice.
This was mine after you did Budgie last year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so,
we did Budgie and we did Bowie the year before that, Ziggy, and then we did an Alice Cooper album, Killer, before that. So it's going to come out 50 years to the day of the original. And obviously we pick albums where it's iconic albums. We want to celebrate a 50th anniversary, and we're not trying to better it, we're just trying to play a loving tribute to it.
Iconic albums that probably wouldn't get the attention that most albums do as well.
Exactly, and it's
because this isn't an obvious choice from 1974, is it?
Now, obviously, we did the Budgie album this year. Sadly, they're not really here anymore. The Burke Shelley passed away.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about Sparks is we're paying tribute to an album that's turning 50 years old next year. This album, and they're still very much a going concern. Not just that, but they're putting out really, incredible music almost on a yearly basis. Which I just find that baffling. 52 years of releasing albums, and the
quality's so high.
They're not slowing down.
No.
They're actually speeding up.
Yeah.
Now, so what's interesting? Obviously, you picked this one, Tim.
Yep.
As the ones paid tribute to, but your favourite is Propaganda.
Yeah.
So why did you not think Propaganda would have been the one?
Because this is the iconic one with This Town Ain't Big
Right.
Enough for Both of Us.
And that's why I think it should be number one.
Right.
It's just because, I mean, the whole album is iconic.
This is how I did it, because for me, I had the list done perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, apart from the top three, my top three. These
Okay.
three.
Okay.
And most Sparks fans' top three albums come over to my house. Propaganda
We Sparks fans.
and Indiscreet. Yeah, we Sparks fans.
Do any other Sparks fans agree with me that Angst in My Pants should be?
I think a lot of people think that's the best 80s one, but I wouldn't have thought that anyone would rank it above any of these.
Right, okay.
They might do, I don't know. So I just had them ranked in my list. I had them just chronologically, in this order. One,
Right,
two, three.
right.
I had to make a decision, and I'd made it yesterday.
Right.
And I did it on the strength of I love all the songs on all the albums, which has got the weaker songs on it, and I think the weakest songs on these three albums are Complaints.
I like Complaints.
Which I know, I like it. It's a great song.
It's not a weak song.
No, a weaker song. You're talking about all the songs on
Okay.
and In My Family on here.
I really like In My Family.
Do you?
Yeah.
I like it as well. It's a great song. I'm not saying it's compared to the songs on here, okay? So I thought that those two songs were weaker than everything on here, so this is going... And then it became between these two, because I love all the songs on both of these. There was no weaker song, so it was like, how do I rank these two? And it gave me a big, big headache. But in the end, I'm thinking that I probably like some of the stuff a little bit more. So, ask me tomorrow, it'll probably be this way round. Or maybe even, this way round. Who knows? It's hard. It's hard to choose. It really is.
Oh, well, look, you're the Sparks fan. I'll let you choose what comes top of our list.
Well, I'm going to choose Propaganda then.
Okay.
But,
All
ask
right.
me tomorrow, it could be Kimono.
No, let's stick to it. So, number 2's Kimono.
Yep. Number 1, Propaganda.
So, number 1, collectively for our list, is Propaganda.
But yeah, we'll put up a recap of the list at the end of the video so people can see
Yeah.
what we gave, the scores that we gave and the conclusion that we came to. Obviously, it's an interesting way of doing it because it's not just me sitting here saying these are my favourite albums in an order. We're combining them and ranking them, and we don't know what we're going to get. So we had a few surprises, didn't we? I think people are going to be a bit put out by Lil Beethoven being so low and maybe Terminal Jive being so high.
That's always the way with these things, though, isn't it?
That's the way it is.
Hopefully
That's opinion
it's,
for you.
We try to do like a bit more of an in-depth analysis of the albums when we do these lists. Obviously, that does mean that these things go on probably a lot longer than they should do.
So if you've stuck it out this far,
thank you.
Well done.
Yeah,
I
appreciate
think one of
that.
our cameras hasn't stuck it out this far.
Yeah. Are we doing another one of these soon?
Another one of these. We've still got Roxy to do.
Roxy Music.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that'll be the next one.
That should be the next
I've got
one.
an idea for how we choose the one after that. I think we should both put 3 or 4 suggestions into a hat,
Right.
and then we'll pick the next one out. I've got a few in mind.
Okay. You going to
Okay.
say them?
No, but I'll wait for the next time. we'll both independently put like 3 or 4 names into a hat, and
Yeah.
then we'll pick the one out.
Well, on the video.
Yeah, and maybe we shouldn't tell each other which ones we picked in, and whatever
Yeah,
we
okay.
pick out, we
Yeah.
have to listen to.
Have you got a hat?
I do have a hat.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So if you're watching this in time, we do have a Kickstarter campaign going for this 50th anniversary tribute to Sparks.
Yeah, so if you want to there's a Kickstarter exclusive vinyl colour, and you get some goodies when you pre-order from Kickstarter as well.
Chances are you're probably watching this after that Kickstarter's happened.
And it finishes on the 31st of August, doesn't it? I think?
Yeah, it will be available when it
But
comes
if not,
out.
yeah, nearer the time of release, it'll go up for pre-order again. Not the Kickstarter exclusive vinyl colour, unfortunately, but the other ones. There's 2
Yep.
other vinyl colours, and the CD. It'll be available digitally
Yeah.
via Bandcamp, and it'll be on all your streaming services, of which there are quite a few.
Yes. Little plug. If you like this T-shirt I'm wearing of our little record label, they're available on our website www.palewizard.co.uk. You can also buy records and CDs and other assorted music-related stuff.
And if you like this T-shirt I'm wearing, then you should have gone to the Sparks tour this year and bought one. I think you're still available on the Sparks website, which is allsparks.com.
Like, subscribe, click the bell icon. That's what people say, isn't it? And obviously there's plenty more of these
Indeed.
worst to bests.
And if you want to put your rankings in the comments of all 25, 26 albums, feel free. We'll take a look. But yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching.
Zoo time, is she a new time? The mammals are your favorite time.